Sorry. Tea. At least it's tea, not gin.
No, I thought.
Yes.
No, I saw 127 children last weekend to do my whole Mother Christmas thing, and yet my own kids, I feel that I've abandoned them. Nothing's wrapped, nothing's done. At the moment, they've got an odd sausage in the bottom of the freezer for dinner. Need to start thinking. I thought, I've got ages. Then did the advent calendars this morning because I was also a week behind on those, and thought, there's 10 days. Oh. No.
No. And normally I'm the person who says, I don't know why people leave it all to the last minute. It's the same time every year. It's not like they change the date. But this year, thanks to a bit of a change of job and a few other things going on, I've sort of concentrated on work and forgotten that Christmas is actually happening. So once I've dealt with today and processed orders and things, then I'm going to make a start on Christmas. bitlastminute.com, I think, is going to be this year.
I think actually, Gail, I think we should move Christmas. Maybe we could move to the end of January. No, not the end of January, because I've got to do my tax return. February would be a good time.
Yeah, combine it with Valentine's Day.
Well, you're really going to hate me because I'm all done. Yeah, but you see, I break up on Thursday. I'm going to France for the whole of Christmas. I'm away for 2 weeks. So everybody, I'm doing my last Christmas date tonight. Presents are all wrapped, finished. But because I'm like, I'll see you in the new year. Bye. So I've had about 4 Christmas dinners now.
I apologise, I'd sorted all of you lot out and then forgot to turn my own mic on. So that's very standard. But it's all fine now. We're all good. I do need to do some admin. I need to tell everybody that this does not work the same way as your kind of normal shopping telly. I'm just going to turn that off. Was that somebody else or was that me? Binging. Who was binging?
No, I'm muted.
It's fine. Okay, so it doesn't work the same way as normal shopping telly. You are not buying from Secret Sewing Club. Secret Sewing Club is just a collective that puts everybody together in one place so you can see your favourite people in the one place. What you are doing is you are buying directly from those suppliers. So each of the girls here has, when they're doing the demonstrations, there'll be a QR code up. If you watch ideally on YouTube, that means you've got your phone free to be able to scan that and then order anything you wish.
Sorry, Hayley, can you turn yourself up? We're getting a lot of comments saying that you're very quiet.
Yeah, well, I think I didn't have it on in the first instance.
Oh,
but
okay.
I think I should be fine now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll turn it right up, and then.
It's not often they tell you you're too quiet, is it, Hayley?
Well, I mean, I went through, didn't I? Meticulously checked all you guys, made sure you guys were right, and then didn't turn myself on. But hey, that's the way it goes. Right, so should we crack straight on? Are you going first today, Gail?
I am indeed.
Go on then. What you got?
Oh, well, I thought, as it's Christmas, and I'd bring a little bit of glitter. So lots of people who do quite a few of my patterns. Oh, the lovely Gail. That's nice, isn't it? Yeah, so I thought I'd bring some glitter felt because I love a little bit of glitter. So what I've done is I brought some packs of glitter felt. I'll just quickly whip through them in a second with my overhead camera. And I bought some patterns to complement the glitter felt. So if you've already got the patterns, then here's the felt that you need to do them. Or if you want the patterns to go along with the glitter felt. I've also, because it's Christmas and I'm in a Christmassy mood, despite the fact I haven't organised my own, like I said, but I've organised my Christmas with my customers. I've put a reduction on all of the patterns that have got glitter felt on them that are in the Sewing Street Club. So so they've all been reduced. And I'm also going to give you a Christmas pattern with every order. So it won't be, you won't be able to choose which Christmas pattern it is, but it'll be a nice one. And I'll pop a pattern in with each order as well, just to wish you Merry Christmas and thank you for your support. So I'm now, as if by magic, going to put you over onto the other camera so that I can quickly whip through the glitter felt packs. So I've got 3 glitter felt packs. First of all, I've got a Christmas one. Now, the reason that these are good packs, you can see that it's got 2 sheets of white, 2 sheets of silver, 2 sheets of green, 2 gold, 2 of that lovely rose gold, and 2 of the red. These are A4 sheets. If you bought the glitter felt separate, it would be $14.40, I believe, for a pack like this. But because you buy them all in one lovely thick pack, it's $9.99. So it's the most economical way to buy it. And it's really good for things like the robin cushion and the wall hanging that was behind me earlier. And also good for things like the poinsettias. So I know like quite a few of you have done these before, but this is used the lovely rose gold. So what I'm going to do in a second is I'm going to do like a little demo and show you how I use the glitter felt and how I cut the glitter felt out. But that's the Christmas range of glitter felt. Then there's the multicolored one where you get 1 sheet of every color. This is really lovely. So you've got your whites, your blues, your pinks, your silvers, and then all your Christmassy colors. That's really good for some of you who have done, let me see, the penguins. So the penguin wall hanging. This is on, this is reduced as well, or there's a kit with all the glitter felt in there, or you could buy a pack of glitter felt. And the good thing with glitter felt is, one of the reasons I love glitter felt, is like all other felts, it doesn't fray, so it enables you to make little hangings as well as using it for applique. And then finally, which is probably my favorite set, is this one where you get 20 sheets of glitter felt, but you've got some colors in here that I don't stock the A4 sheets of because I can't get hold of them. But this beautiful like rust color, a lovely lemon, a lovely baby pink, a baby blue, a lilac and a green. And I think these colors are just super for Easter. So have a check out of what's the word I'm looking for? The category on my website with the Secret Sewing Club. You'll see all the reductions that are on there today. It'll be on there for 3 days. I think, Hayley, we said before that it's a shame.
We had a few people ask us, could we leave the offers on for a little bit longer? And I think most people have said, yes, no problem. They'll leave them on for 3 days after the show. So thank you very much, Gail, for that. And if after this you're done with this demo, if you want me to actually jump onto your website, I can scroll people through and show them exactly where those bits are for you.
Oh, okay, then that's super. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Yeah, and the free pattern as well. Then that will be you'll be eligible to that for the days as well. So I'll continue to send out the free pattern with everything. So lots of you will have seen me demo with freezer paper before, and you'll have seen me draw onto freezer paper and then cut out the freezer paper and then pop it onto the felt. Now, I like this as a technique because I just find it easy. I can just pop the wax paper on there. For people who are not familiar with freezer paper, it's the one with wax on one side. You can buy it in A4 sheets, so you can pop it through your printer. Some of the patterns that I do, I pre-print the freezer paper for you, so you can just iron it straight on and cut it straight out. The lovely thing is that the glitter felt is just slightly more rigid, so it cuts really nice, and it looks like you've die cut it when you've cut the shapes out. Also, another thing, you can put it through die cutting machines. So if you're lucky enough to have a die cutting machine, or maybe you're somebody who owns one of those scan and cuts, you can use it for that as well. You can draw onto it. So if you've got templates that you want to draw around, you can draw onto the back of the glitter felt and then use that to cut out the shapes. And this is the reason I like the freezer paper. So I've cut out the leaf shape. I can now peel the paper off the back. I've got my lovely holly shape. And then I can just take another piece of glitter felt. I can put the holly shape back on there. I can iron it on there, and I'm good to go again to cut the shape. So not only can you use it like that for cutting shapes, you can also trace shapes onto Bonder Web or Heat and Bond or whatever your fusibles are. You can then pop that onto the back of your glitter felt and iron it on there. So you're just going to leave the iron on there a little bit longer this time because you want the glue to melt. A tip when you're using things like Heat and Bond and that, let them go cool before you start cutting. So here's one that I've got that has already cooled. So I'm just going to cut this out. Now, one of the reasons I like using a fusible with the glitter felt is because if you use a fusible like Heat and Bond Ultra, you know, the one that comes in the red packet, do you sell those, Hayley?
No, I haven't got them, but I will find out off the other two girls if they do have any. Could you, when you're just chatting, Gail, could you just give people the prices for the felt packs as well, please?
Oh yeah, so the large packs, the A4 packs are $9.99, and the small pack is $8.99. But like I was saying, if you bought the sheets separately, it would be $14.40 for the amount of felt that you've got in there. So it's quite a good way, and it's nice to have a stash as well, I think. So when these projects come up, you can you know, you've got the stuff there already to go with. I also used it. It was really good for cutting out numbers. So I used it for the numbers on my advent calendars and that. So some people who've bought advent calendars for me, it's good for that. And if you use something like Heat and Bond Ultra, then you don't need to you don't need to sew it either. It could just stick straight on. So you imagine if you're doing something like bunting, and you cut out all the letters and the numbers, you could iron the glitter felt straight on there, and then you wouldn't have to sew. So it's perfect for bunting. A bit like, you know, with the one with Merry Christmas and that. So if we take a look at this one again, if I'd used Heat and Bond Ultra, I could have fused the whole lot of this down and not sewn round it at all, and then it would have just been finished. I was chatting to Sarah earlier as well, and I said that I've actually washed this as well. So I like to, if I use a product, I like to be confident that I can tell my customers exactly how I use it. I wouldn't put it through a washing machine, but if I'd got this a bit grubby and whatever, you could put it in the sink and then just give it a quick swish, and it doesn't spoil the glitter. You do get, it doesn't shed this, but when you put it through a sewing machine, you can get a tiny little bit of shedding, you know, because the needle's hitting all the glitter and that. But then I always say to people, that's what your Hoover is for. You know, with your sewing machine, you need to, every like once a week or whatever, if you're using your sewing machine a lot, you should really open it up where the bobbin race is, and then, you know, dust it out with a little brush, or you know, use your Hoover or compressed air or whatever. So there you can see I've fused that now onto fabric, and then I could take that to the sewing machine and sew it. So I want to show you two different ways of sewing these things on the machine. Or one of the other things I didn't mention as well, if I can find it somewhere in amongst all my stuff. You can draw on it as well, was what I was going to say. So I can't find my sample at the moment, but if you wanted to add extra detail, so with the holly leaves and that, you could take a marker pen. I can find one. You could take a marker pen, and if you didn't want to draw the, you didn't want to sew the veins in, you could draw them with a marker pen instead. I should have used a better marker pen. I've just pinched Sarah's at the moment. So right, I'm going to, yeah.
I've just done a quick check with Sarah and Sasha. Sarah's gone to do another check, but yes, Sasha's got a Bosal Splendor Web and Bonder Web available on her site, and Sasha's got both. Sarah said no, but then I said okay, and she's gone, hang on. So she's obviously gone to have a look. So I will update you. But yes, you can definitely get it from Sasha and potentially from Sarah as well.
All right, that's fantastic. So you can use any of them. So any fusibles, they'll all work. I use various ones. And that, so they're all good for fusing it down. And again, like I said, if you don't want to fuse it down, you don't have to. You can just use the freezer paper to cut it out, or you can just do it, you know, the old-fashioned way, where you just put it on to the back and draw around there and that. But all the templates in all of my patterns are already reversed, so it's got the idea that it will work on the back, because obviously with normal felt, it doesn't matter which side you draw on, does it? Because it's reversible. But with the glitter felt, it's a bit like fabric. You need all the letters reversed because you're drawing on the back, and then when you cut them out, then the glitter is on the front.
Can I ask
So I'm just
about ironing the glitter fabric? Because there's a couple of people have asked about ironing the glitter fabric.
yes.
Do you have to cover it with something in order to iron it, or can you just literally just put your iron straight on it?
I don't, when I'm at home, right, I never put the iron directly on anything. One of the reasons for that is I don't like to get a build up on my iron and then it transfer onto my work. So I always tend to put something over it. So when I was busy chatting and doing this at the same time, I did put a piece of calico over the top. So you could put greaseproof paper or calico, or if you've got some of those fancy applique ironing sheets, you can put all those on top of there. But yeah, I do always cover whatever applique I'm doing. And one of the other reasons for that is sometimes when you're cutting out applique and that, you can get little tiny bits of residue of glue around the edge. Or if you're drawing with pencils and that, sometimes you can get pencil marks that will come through on your iron. And there's nothing more infuriating than then putting your iron onto your beautiful piece of work and transferring either a little tiny bit of glue onto your work, or spending hours cleaning the bottom of your iron. So it's sort of good practice, a bit like, you know, not sewing over needles and pins. Then always cover your work with some kind of, I always refer to it as a pressing cloth, but if I'm honest, it's whatever piece of fabric I've got handy next to my iron that I just use to cover it over. But the way the only way I can describe it is you can just think of glitter felt as being like any other piece of fabric. So you can fuse it in the same ways as you can fuse any other piece of fabric. It's got the beauty of felt that it's got no fray, so you don't have to sew and to seal all the edges. And it just offers that lovely bit of sparkle. I think great for birthdays, great for Christmas, you know, just for any occasion. You can never have too much sparkle in your life is what I think. So I'm going to whip this over to the sewing machine. I'm just going to mention one or two other things before I go there. Now, when I was taught to do patchwork and quilting years ago, when I did my City and Guilds and that, we were always told that you applique first onto your background fabric. You sew around all your applique, whether you're hand or machine sewing or whatever, and then you form your quilt sandwich. So you layer up all your layers. The problem with that is once you've done that and you've got all your layers together and you go to quilt, you have to quilt around all of the applique then. And I find that quite frustrating. So if I'm doing a random stitch and I'm having to go around all these letters, I'm having to stop and start and try to wiggle around there. So I decided that because I'm an adult, I can do what I want. I decided I wanted to break the rules. So breaking away from the traditional way of sewing, what I will do is I'll make my quilt sandwich. So your 3 layers of fabric, if I just bring that in. So I've got my 3 layers of fabric. I've got my front layer, my wadding, and my background layer. I put all these together and then I quilt the entire panel. So you can quilt it in a random pattern like this, or you can quilt with straight lines, whatever works for you. I'll quilt the entire panel, I'll cut the panel back, and then I will bind it as well. And then I'll put the applique on, and then I'll stitch the applique on. So a couple of tips of doing that. One, it just makes it so easy because now you've got a really firm surface to work on. So it's really easy to apply the applique. And two, another tip is put a really busy fabric on the back, because if you put a really busy fabric on the back, you're not going to see where you've done the applique. So if I turn this one over, you can see you can't actually see where I've stitched around the applique. You can just see the overall quilting. So that makes doing projects like this really, really enjoyable, because I haven't had to do all the stopping and starting. I've just got a complete finished panel, and then I can just have fun adding all my applique. I haven't got to worry either about making sure that I don't go too close to the edge, because I've already got all the edge on there. So I know I'm not going to lose his little feet with my binding, because my binding's already on. And then finally, because it's glitter felt, I don't want to detract from the fact that it's got a beautiful glitter and sparkle. So I don't want a heavy line of stitching going around there. So the easiest thing to use is an invisible thread. That way it doesn't detract from the sparkle. And also, if we look at the little penguin, I've got various colours going on here. I've got the red of his hat, the blue for the presents, the black for his body, and that. It would mean if I appliqued in a traditional way, I would have to sew round his hat in red, sew round the white piece, change the thread again for black, change the thread again for pink. So this way, by using invisible, I can literally make a start over here, sew round the complete piece without even changing the thread. And the other sneaky little thing that I do is I think about where I start. I sew all the way around like so. And then because it's invisible, I will follow my quilting line and I will travel up to the letter and then sew all the way around the letter. And then I'll use my quilting line again and travel and sew all the way around the letter. And then that way I haven't got to stop start all the time, and I haven't got to spend ages threading all the tail ends through. So they're just a couple of hints and tips about the way that I do the applique. I'm just going to take...
Super sneaky. I do have another update from Sarah. She has got a bonder web as well. So if you've gone for one of Gail's packs, then you can find it with either Sasha or Sarah. I'm going to grab in a minute and we'll all come back together.
Right.
Do you want me to quickly show your website, Gail, so people can?
Yeah, I've got a question here that Sarah's just brought in for me, and it asks, do I stock purple metallic thread for the machine? I don't stock any thread at all, but I know you do, Hayley. And
I've got embroidery thread in the purple metallic, but I'm not entirely sure I've got machine thread. But I'll tell you what, I'll go and grab the other guys and we'll see if who's got what and see if we can't find a solution with somebody who's got it. So there you go, all back together. So does anybody have some metallic purple embroidery thread or metallic purple thread that you could use in a machine?
No, sorry.
Metallics are quite difficult in a machine, though. Metallics are quite challenging in a machine sometimes, though, because...
Sorry.
Carry on, Gail, sorry.
Does nobody stock the thread, then?
I don't think so. I've got an embroidery one, but I haven't got a machine one.
Right, okay, then.
I use like an embroidery thread or a polyester thread for that sheen, because I can't be dealing with getting stressed with metallic, or use that, what's the drops that you put on it. There's a drop that you can make your, what's it called? So,
was that your thinking face, Sarah?
Yeah, I know the one you mean.
I hope you didn't see that. I know what you mean.
Yeah,
something master.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's in a clear bottle with a blue lid on there.
With blue writing, yeah, and you drip it.
You drip it on the thread.
It's like a silicone, and it helps it stops metallic thread heating up through your machine, and then that stops that breakage. And Here.
It'll come back to you. It'll come back to you.
As we don't sell metallic thread then, and I'm not treading on anybody's toes, Wonderfill has got probably one of the best metallic threads I've ever used. It's so beautifully soft. It runs through the machine like any other thread. And a couple of things with metallic threads. You need to use a metallic needle, or you need to use a top stitch needle. It's got an oval eye. And something else that to consider as well that people don't consider, which is one of the reasons your metallic thread shreds, is everybody thinks that when you use a needle that you only dull the point. You don't, you dull the eye as well. So quite often, if you're using different threads in your machine, you need to keep your needle with your thread, because as the thread runs through the needle, it creates a groove in the eye. And then when you put a different thread in, it catches on the groove in the eye, and then that's why your threads start to shred. So if you're using specialty threads, if you're just sewing, just normal sewing, using the same thread all the time, then don't worry about it. But if you're using specialty threads, then make sure you keep your needle with your thread, because you will dull the eye as much as you will the point. And another thing with specialty threads, I always put them on a thread holder. And I always say, if you give them a bit of breathing space, so get them away from your machine a bit, if they come off and they start to coil a little bit, by giving them a little bit of space, it allows the thread to sort itself out before it hits the machine. So I find things like that, good quality thread. I mean, I'm the world's worst for using cheap thread. If it's like a little giveaway thing and
we're
making
always
a
like whatever's closest.
yeah, I will use cheap thread, but anything that's any specialty thread at all, then you get what you pay for. So don't buy cheap, and buy more expensive. And Wonderfill do amazing metallic thread. I quilt with it as well. I can machine embroider with it. I can quilt with it. I don't worry about it, and it doesn't. Especially if you've got brother machines and things like that, you don't want all the residue falling into the bottom of your machine. It doesn't. It's just amazing. I don't work.
Questions, I get most of all is about thread and what I use, and I think it's very different for us that do this as a job, and because we're sort of turning things through so quickly. I mean, I use coats an awful lot. Now, I know that coats is very fibrous, but I know it's very linty, and I also know that. So as long as you're aware that if you're using those cheap threads, that you would need to clean your machine out more, but I find that I can go from coats thread in my machine to doing my binding, or, I think it's like you say, it's what I would not be able to afford to do all my samples with Wonderfill or
no,
or is it Aurifil and things like that, because there are special quilts that I've made for myself that I have used Aurifil on, but for things like samples where we are just literally having them up, chucking them about. I mean, I don't know what Sarah thinks as well, but I think it's that thing of Gail. What Gail does is very precise. It's a lot of blanket stitch. It's a lot of that applique. So those stitches are on show an awful lot, but our stitches can be quite hidden. And so I think with the threads, I think it's also what you can afford. But don't ever feel bad if you are only using coats. It's not an issue. You're sewing, and that is the most wonderful thing.
It's more important to match your thread to your fabric. So if you're using cotton fabric, use cotton thread. It's going to wear and wash equally, rather than putting a polyester thread. I mean, we all do it. I mean, we've all done it. We've all, whipped up samples really, really quickly. And because there's no longevity necessarily in what we do. It'll be made, it'll be up for a week and a half, and then it'll be down, it'll be in a box. So I get it. But yeah, the biggest tip for thread-wise.
I think as well. I use a lot of quartz thread, because when I sew with fleece, then why wouldn't you? I don't want to be putting Aurifil through when I'm using fleece. And also it's about what's affordable. And if you're making to sell as well, you don't want to be spending 10 quid on a reel of thread when you can buy one for £1. So I'm all for it, but doing things you do decorative stitches, or you do things that are a little bit more complicated. If you use cheap thread, you're giving yourself a hard time. So it's then that it's worth spending the money, because when you're not, you're seeing it. You know, you don't want to be. I always find it amazing when people are using Aurofil to tack something and they're going to pull it out, or they're using it to sandwich their quilt or whatever. And I always say to people, you know, you want to put your money where it can be seen. So like Sasha was saying, if I use a really expensive thread, I want the whole world to see that I'm using that thread, and that. So it's about marrying, I think, your threads up with what you can afford. What your capabilities are, you know, make life easy for yourself. Use cheap metallic thread. I've used it. And you know, those reels you can have from India and that, oh, I mean, the colors are fantastic, but you will be using expletives on with your machine because it will be snapping and breaking, as pretty as it is, and they look lovely on the stand. So just, you know, just give yourself a helping hand.
I'm just checking comments, Hayley.
With the cheap stuff, as you said, that you can pick up from India and things. If you work back to front and you put it in your bottom bobbin, then you can often get that to flow through a bit more nicely, because it's not having to go through all of the little
wind bits.
Up the top. But then you're in a completely different mindset that you're working back to front.
Yeah, and a thread sock as well. Thread socks are really good on like the cheaper rayon threads and the cheaper metallic.
But don't go buy
muted.
thread. Don't go buy thread.
I'll try that one. Do you know what? I can try all of them. Let's try all of the mics up and see if that's any better. Is that any better? It seems to have jumped onto a different mic for me.
When it comes to thread socks that go over your thread, somebody said to me, buy makeup brush nets and you get 4 times the amount or what you were getting as thread socks, and they're exactly the same thing.
As soon as they put the word sewing against anything, it's like if you use anything and it's made for sewers, it's twice the price. It's like free motion gloves. Use gardening gloves instead of the quilting ones, because they're the same thing. It's a premium because it's sewers.
Yeah.
So Mr. Dan Bancroft has messaged and said, "Hi ladies, so much colour on one screen right now, but not enough baubles for my liking. Where are the Xmas jumpers?" Well, actually, Dan, I was very Christmassy last Sunday, and I've been banned. I banned from wearing.
I've got baubles.
Beige.
Well done, Sarah.
You've put one in for the team there, Sarah. But I mean,
I have. I've lost my bow.
As far as well, Christmassy, we are having a pajama one. Not this one, not next one, the one after, the one between Christmas and New Year, where we're having a pajama secret sewing club.
I'm banned, aren't I, Hayley?
You can come if you put your pajamas on.
I'm just not allowed to wear.
Yeah, I'm looking for my bow, but it's gone.
Right, who's next? Let's go. Sarah, you ready?
Yes.
Okay,
yes. Hang on. Let's. I was too busy listening. Hang on. Okay. Yes, I'm ready.
Are you ready? And seeing as you contacted me about an hour beforehand, you also have your banner as requested. You might need to just frame your camera up a little bit. That's it, because your banner's covering your mouth at the minute. So you might just need to.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to come off. There you go. You can see my hands just as I move. Is that better? Right. Okay. Yes. Okay. So I thought I would come on today and show you a couple of things. And one is basically finishing. Talk to you about finishing your project. So if you're finishing your quilts, finishing your placemats, all of those elements, you've spent a fortune on the fabric, and you spent money on the wadding, and you spent money on your threads, as we've just discussed, and you want to finish it beautifully. So I've got a guide that I wrote, and it's on the website. And goodness me. Thank you.
Just give me the only caveat with that is I will only you'll only have my voice. So if you let me know what you want to see, I'll
Right.
be able
What?
to hear you, and I'll just parrot it back. So
Yes.
bear with me. Let me just switch that to your website, and then I can show you exactly what you want to see. Right. So you can now see Sarah's Secret Sewing Club category on her website, and she's got this one here, the very first one that you see, Sarah Payne's Guide to Binding and Techniques. Let me just, this one here, boop. So that one is £10. Oh, we got a little saving on that one, haven't we?
Yes. Well, there is also an extra saving on top of that. There's for until Tuesday, because as I said, we break up, we finish Wednesday, and then I'm heading off for my Christmas, so we've got to get everything in the post by Wednesday. But until then, there's an extra 10% off those prices for everybody who is shopping today, and the code is the word secret. Now, is that up?
There we go.
Oh, there we go. I can see
Yes,
it.
you have. You've got it as a strap just underneath you.
Yes, I can see it.
That's what I should have done with Sasha last week. I should have just put a big thing across the bottom of the screen to stop us flashing. Sorry, carry on.
There's so many things to look at when we're doing this, isn't there? There's so many. Right. Okay. So I'm going to show you a method for finishing your quilt, and I'm going to have a look at the little booklet at the moment. So this is my binding and finishing techniques guide, and there's loads of different ways of finishing your quilt in here. There's how you sew your traditional binding together, how you layer, envelope backing, the good old flange border, decorative binding, how to do mitered corners. There's loads and loads of information, prairie points, with lots and lots of pictures. Okay, now I'm going to show you one, even how to make your own homemade bias binding as well, because if you are binding a curved piece, you need to do your binding on the biased so that it bends, because fabric cut on the diagonal is stretchy, and if you're doing a circle or you're doing round placemats or pot holders or anything like that, you're going to need it to curve round beautifully. So that's in here as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do what's called a bordered binding, and that's when you have, where are we, right, page 16 I think it is. Yes, where you have two colours in your binding. All right, so I'm going to show you how to do that. So I've got here, we're pretending this is a quilt. So I've got my layers, and I have this is the front, and that's the back of my quilt. All right, and then usually you cut 2.5 inch wide strips for your binding. But with this technique, you're going to cut 1 1/4 and 1 3/4 strips for this. Okay, so stick with me. Let's put the sewing machine up there. And here's my sewing machine. So the first step, and normally I don't sew my binding together with the walking foot, but as I'm going to sew it in place in a second, I don't want to have to spend 5 minutes changing my walking foot. So I'm just going to sew with 1/4 inch seam allowance these 2 pieces for my binding. This guide does also tell you how to do, normal traditional binding. And one thing I do like to do with my binding is I like to machine finish it. So as Sasha was saying, when we're doing our samples, there's not a lot of time to finish them and make them. So anything that makes my binding quicker, I'm very fond of. Also, if I machine stitch my binding, on the front and the back, I know it's going to hold up to heavy washing. So I don't have to worry about it, the hand stitching coming undone. Right. I've cut almost these 2 pieces. Right, so there's my 2 bits of binding, and we'll come back and I'm going to iron it, and I'm pressing it under the darkest fabric, because if I press it under this way and a little bit of it shows, it can show through the white. So let's do this very quickly. So.
Is that one of those snazzy Tula Pinkalissos?
Yes, it is indeed. It is indeed. One of the joys of being an ambassador.
I bought the baby one.
Yes, I've got that, but I don't know where it is. That would have been really useful right now. Trying to do it all on my
I really
cutting.
like the small one because it's got because I had to do, I think it was a stand-in show for you that I did that on.
Yes.
And my description of it is that it had big iron energy.
It does, because it does a whacking great burst of steam.
Doesn't it?
Something like it is so tiny, literally, and it's
Yes, big
Right.
iron energy was my
it is
description
big
of
iron
it.
energy. Yeah, because it's a full voltage one. I mean, I've got mini irons, but they're not as good. Right, so I press that, and now I'm going to press this. You see, what you end up with is a little bit of overlap. So I've pressed that once. Now that's pressed under here, I can just press it again. All right, and you'll see that it folds with a little border. Right. It's much easier to do this on an ironing board than trying to do it.
What, so you can get a bigger run on it, if you know what
Yes,
I mean?
yes, but that's okay.
Tell you what would be good for that though is, you know, the strip rolls that we've always done.
Yeah,
Yes, because they're an absolute lifesaver for binding.
but those are 2.5. These need to be slightly bigger. One is 1 3/4 and one is 1 1/4.
Ah, okay,
So
because I
when
know
you
we
are
do
doing,
a 2.5 and we do a 1.5 in the ones that we've got. So if you're just doing traditional straightforward binding, then you'd be fine, but not for this snazzy
yeah, this is
technique.
just an extra, because you can add a flange, which is a fold of fabric, and put that in place, but it makes it a bit bulky, I think, whereas this, we're going to do it all in one. So if I just turn that over, can you see there?
Yeah, if that's perfect. I was just going to say, can you move it up a little bit, because your banner has has obscured you.
Right, just give that a blast. Ooh, ow, ow, ow. I'm trying
So
to do this very
when you're
quickly.
folding it in half there, are you taking it so those edges meet?
Yes,
Right,
because
perfect.
that's the extra 1/4 inch. So when that's folded under, you see, it gives you an even, because one's 1/2 inch bigger than the other one. One's 1 1/4 and the other one's 1 3/4.
So when you're folding it over, it kind of naturally wants to fold to that extra 1/4 inch.
Because it's sitting there like that, so we can bring it over, and it will line up if you take the time and are not trying to do it on camera without nutting the camera, the overhead camera. Joy of technology.
But we're not limited here as we were.
No.
We just take as long as we like.
So there we go. We're nearly done. Right. And then we take the quilt here and we put it on. Normally I do my binding front facing. I do it on the front and then fold it over onto the back. But this time we do it the other way. We do it on the back and we fold it across onto the front. I'm also going to trim off this edge. Right. And fold it down at 45 degrees like this. And that then gives me a nice pretty edge, so I'm not stuck with an ugly raw edge. All right, and then I'm going to attach it. I should have folded over the bottom end, not the top end, because I'm doing it onto the back, so I folded that the wrong way. Right, okay. Right, so I've got the back of my quilt. Because that's going to sit on here and we're going to fold it over onto the front. All right. Okay, so this is where the good old Wonder clips come out. I don't know about you, but I'm a big fan of Wonder clips.
I don't think there's a single one of us who hasn't got a big bag of them somewhere.
Yes, and usually they're on the floor and under my sewing machine, and they are all over the place because I use so many of them.
I don't know. I mean, is it better to stand on one of them? They're a bit like standing on a Lego brick then, but I would assume preferable to pins, which is the other thing that we regularly stand on.
I'm looking under my table at the moment and I can see the stitch ripper, a pair of scissors, 4 pins and some Wonder clips. So
it's about standard for everybody's table, that one, I think.
Standard. Now, when I'm doing my my binding, I'm going to start from this point under here. I'm wondering if that's going to be long enough to go all the way around. I didn't measure it. Yes, it is. I did. Yay big. Right. When you're trying to work out how much fabric you need, you measure the 4 sides of your project and add, if it's a big quilt, add about 10 inches to that. All right. And that's for sewing the ends together and going around corners. And then you divide it by 40, because that's the width of the width of the fabric, and that will tell you how many pieces you need to cut of the 40-inch wide strips to get all the way around your project. So if you've got a 200-inch quilt, so the 4 edges come up to 200 inches, you are going to take that 200, add 10, divide it by 40, and then that gives you the number. So it's 5 point something. So you're going to need 6 strips. Okay.
Maths,
so anyway, I don't need that many because this is only small. So I'm also going to start sewing about here. So let's go over. I start sewing about, I usually put a pin. As I said, there's one on the floor. So I'll pick that up. And I don't pin all the way round because it drifts, it moves. So you just want it kind of roughly in place. I'm wondering, oh, all right, start there. And I'm going to start with this 1/4 inch seam. Right, I'm going to sew. Also, my patterns, when I do my patterns, they all include full instructions on the binding as well. So you don't get to the end of a pattern and it says, and bind. It'll have pictures. And so what we're going to do is we're going to come towards the end Now this is where the end of my piece is, but we need to come off about half an inch, quarter of an inch before that, about there, and shoot off at 45 degrees. Okay. I know when I was binding my first quilt, I was learning in a shop, and I went to the shop and I said, how do I bind this? And they told me, and I went home and I couldn't remember. So I went back again and they demonstrated with bits of paper, and I still couldn't remember. It took me about 3 goes before I got it into my head, because it was this bit. It was the shooting off at 45 degrees that confused me. Right, now the reason we do that is so that we can fold that up. Can you see that? I think you can see that. So we fold that up and we fold it back down on itself like that. So we continue that.
So what is that double fold doing for you, Sarah?
That will give you a mitered corner when we come to finish the corner of your quilt. This is how you get, you know, when you look at a quilt, let me just show you this one. And you've got a lovely mitre on it, like that. That's how you get that. So I'll just show you. So we'll take this. Right. I think I didn't cut my white all that accurately, probably, but we'll come down. And now we're going to sew straight to the other corner. And come off 45 degrees. Do it again. Up and down.
And when you start again at that corner, do you start right off the edge, or do you start a quarter inch in?
Right off the edge. If you start a quarter of an inch in, you can end up with a little hole just in that corner.
I'm just asking the things that everybody's thinking. I'm just the voice of questions.
That's good, because I can't do this and read the comments, so it's nice to know.
This is why it's quite good having a secret sewing club, because you've got you've got 2 or 3 people just reading the comments and passing them on to you.
That's it. Right.
Oh, actually, you've got a message here from Anne-Marie. She says, Sarah P, it's great to see you on Secret Sewing Club. Did wonder where you were hiding.
I've not
Just
been hiding.
busy. You've just been busy.
Yeah.
Well, I think everybody, post Create and Craft, I think everybody was a little shell-shocked first off.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing my social media. Right, I'll just do the last 2 corners.
I've got another, got a few comments on. There's a lot of there's a lot of people talking about going down to the shops. Sarah Jane Kennedy, love your ironing pad. And other Sarah's been reposting loads of links up to your website as well. And we've got Liz, who says she's never doing binding again without the rolls that we do from Craft Yourself Silly. Hey, but there's no reason why we couldn't print one that was 2 colours.
Yeah,
and then you wouldn't have to do this. Well, you would. You'd still have to do it, but you wouldn't have to manually join them first.
So what we're going to do at this point, you know, when I folded that over, we're going to tuck, because it also does tell you, you know, how you can, the guide does go into sewing the 2 pieces together, but you know, I'm a tuck and roll kind of girl. Right. Okay, then quickly back to my iron. Give that a good press all round. Right, and what that has done, because we came off at a 45-degree angle, it gives us this extra lump of fabric here, which when we fold it over, look what it does. It creates that edge there. So I'm going to fold that onto the front of my quilt. We're only doing this backwards because we're putting this flange border in like this. Okay, normally I pop it on the top and just, you know, with straight binding. I'll just turn that over. Right, now I'm going to push everything
sensing you're almost finished, so I'm just,
yes.
Gail seems to have vanished, so I'm just going to go and see if I can find her. This is,
right,
honestly, this is like herding cats, Sarah. I don't know why I put myself through it.
Right, so what we're going to do now is this is folded onto the front, and to sew it down we just stitch in the ditch between the white and the blue. If I got blue thread I could stitch actually on it, but I've got white thread. I'll just do one side just to show you how that corner works. You see what we've got is right, and that folds up, and we stick a pin in it. Stick a pin there. Try not to. It's folded inside. Hang on, let me just get another pin and I'll show you on the sewing machine because we've got a more zoomed in effect. You definitely have to have your walking foot on to do this. Let's have a look. Can you see here that that excess fold fabric, oh, hang on, I've got that in the walking foot. That excess fabric folds up like this and in to give you a mitre there. So I've pinned it here and here, and that's what's going to give you your nice sharp corner. And if you put in a flange, you end up with a fold at that point because one piece goes that way and one piece goes that way. But with this, you've actually got it coming at a 45-degree angle. So let me show you. So now we go back to the sewing machine, and I'm stitching in the ditch between the white. This is just one of the many techniques that are in that guide to give you lots of different options for finishing your quilt rather than just a standard binding. Oh.
And for that one, you're just following that line between the blue and the white and stitching in the ditch. You're not coming off the edge. You're not doing 45-degree angles at the end. No. Literally just following it round in a square.
And yeah, so, and then we're going along like this between the two. And then this one will be folded over.
Right, I did have Gail back. She does seem to have vanished again. But Sasha's good as gold today. I can see her cutting out her demos, ready to go.
But can you see?
Perfect.
We've got a little flange. We've got a little border that is a two-tone finished binding. Very simple to do. It's just normal when you normally do your binding, or I do mine. I sew it to the front and fold it onto the back. With this, we're putting it on the back and folding it through to the front so that you get the bigger. So when I cut these, the white was 1 1/4 inches and the blue was 1 3/4 inches. So when you put that all together with the seam allowance, it becomes 2 1/2, which we're used to actually doing.
Perfect.
So this is all in the binding guide with lots of photos. Lots of guidance on different things that you can do, and and I think it's a really useful addition to anybody's your sewing room.
Yeah,
So
well, it's just about learning new techniques and things, isn't it? So
yes.
Brilliant. Everybody's back. Oh no, Sasha's run off now. There she is. Dear me. It is, honestly, it's like herding cats. It's all right, drinks are allowed in this. I've got juice as well. So we're allowed drinks, we're allowed pets, you're allowed anything you like in this one. Right, all back together. So, Sasha, you look like you're nearly ready to go.
Yeah, I'm actually there.
You're nearly there. Okay, well, while you're busy setting up, I will ask another question then, seeing as Sarah's the only one ready for Christmas. What was your worst Christmas present? Ooh, who's going to go first? Sarah.
It was when I was first married. So this is a long time ago.
Was this a husband you liked, or is it?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
you know, that's just. I like to check because sometimes people have them that they don't particularly like.
Yes, he was a nice husband, and I liked him.
Excellent.
And when our first Christmas as a married couple, I love to read. I'm always reading if I've got time. You know, there's a book in my car or whatever. And he thought it would be a very good idea to get me a book token.
That's a bit disappointing, isn't it?
I
get it.
Close run thing, because it was just like I felt he hadn't really put a lot of thought into that.
No.
You know, it was thought that she likes books, but not what sort of books would she like? Or,
yeah.
You know.
Okay.
It was a book token, and it was a £10 book token.
I hope that wasn't all of the present then.
It wasn't after I threatened him with divorce, violence. Not really, but you know, I had my say.
Okay, and Gail, what was your worst Christmas present?
Well, Peter and I, so my husband, we.
So can I just check again? This is one you liked.
Yeah, sadly, I'm in the same position as Sarah, though. Mine has passed away.
You have to check, though. Some days, you know.
Yeah. No, he was lovely. He was very, very lovely, and we both rode motorbikes. So people would buy us gifts related to motorbikes. Now, although we loved riding bikes and we travelled extensively on them, I didn't really want to fill my house full of tat that had motorbikes on there. So somebody bought us an alarm clock in the shape of a Harley Davidson. Right? Neither of us rode Harley Davidsons either. And so when the alarm went off, the bike used to rev and the headlamps used to come on. And when you pressed the seat, then it would say "Born to Ride."
Oh.
So we got it out of the box, we had a look at it, and we put it straight back in the box. And off it went to the charity shop. So yeah, so I really hope that whoever bought it for us is not watching right now. Yeah, we had a few of those things where, you know, people think that because you do something that you will want things related to that.
I feel that pain. I get a lot of duck things.
Yeah.
I love my ducks.
It's a bit safer with sewing, so at least they buy you sewing related items.
Oh, that's useful though.
Which is quite nice, yeah. So
that's useful.
Me, none of my friends make me anything for my Christmas gift. Though my friend Deborah did this year. She's made me some embroidered pieces, which are gorgeous. She's really into her machine embroidery. But most of them, I've never received a quilt.
Yeah. Would you want one?
Well, yeah, because I know how much work goes into it and how much money goes into it. I mean, this year, pretty much, 5 people are getting crocheted blankets. Because I've been crocheting away.
That is a lot of effort.
It is a lot. It's a lot of effort. The thing is, the big granny squares. They're either 9 granny squares with a border or just a massive granny square. And when I started, I did the first one with a size 4.5-inch hook. Now I'm up to a size 9.
Yeah.
I'm like, life's too short for 4.5.
Sasha, what's your worst Christmas present?
I got given a wooden a wooden duck once, and it was one of those late. I don't know how to describe it without.
I think I can describe it for you. Bear with, caller. Hang on. I'm gonna. Oh, I'm trapped.
Laid down. And you're
is it the one? Is it the one drinking the wine?
Yeah, but they didn't give me a bottle of wine with
just
it.
the duck.
I'd fallen over and couldn't get up, or it looked like he was trying to reach a part of his anatomy that he possibly couldn't reach, and it just looked wrong. It just looked wrong.
I think I know exactly which one you mean.
I'm not particular. I like ducks, but I haven't got any ducks at home.
Do you want one? I've got a few.
And a wooden duck, and yeah, I don't know. And my daughter's quite good. My oldest daughter, not Lily, puts a lot of thought into stuff. My oldest daughter tends to re-gift me what I've given her the year before. She does that quite often, actually, and then forgets that I'd given it to her the year before. So, yeah, so now I tend to buy her things that I know I would like. But on the other hand, Lily would say to me, "What would you like for Christmas, Mum?" And I'd say, "Oh, I'd love that." And she'd go, "No, I'm not getting you that. I don't like that." Oh, well, I'd quite like. I saw something in street a few days ago, and I said to her about it, and she went, "No, I'm not getting. No, I'm not getting you. I don't like that." Okay, yeah. And I said, "Hang on, you've asked me what I would like for Christmas, and yet everything I've said you don't like." And she says, "Well, because I've got to walk out in the street with you."
Gosh.
So yeah, she says it like it is. So maybe that's the way. So now I said to her, "Do you know what, Lil? Just go out and just get me whatever." So yeah, that'll be interesting. But
Excellent.
There we go.
Right, I shall. If you're ready, Sasha, I shall pass it over to you.
What's your worst present?
Oh, do you know, I asked that question and I hadn't thought of an answer myself.
You're going to say your best present, duck laying down that you put a
no, my best present, I think, was probably I did enjoy my air fryer that I got not last year, the year before.
Oh, you see, that's a good present.
Yeah. He got me an air fryer and I got him a pizza oven.
Oh,
we had a very foodie Christmas. It was an excellent Christmas. But we'll come back to that then. You go and do your demos. I'll think of my worst one. You guys can all think of your best one. And we'll reconvene in a few minutes. I'll pass it over to you.
Perfect. So how are we all doing? Now, obviously, I wasn't meant to be on today. But I've sort of jumped in to give Hayley a hand. And one of the things, we're going to look at a couple of things, okay? So I had a lot of questions after last week about flatter and soak. Later on, we're going to do demos on both of those, okay? So that will get that out the way. And the other one was my panel. Now, the panel has been so successful and it's great. And it's wonderful, but a couple of you have asked to see a full demo of it. So that's what we're going to do. I'm only going to do the smaller wallet today. Now, on this panel, you get two sizes. So I know you can't see this particularly well. We went through this last time, didn't we? So it's on a fusible backing. And as you can see, you are getting two sizes. You are getting a large purse and you are getting the small purse. Now this be the large one, and this could be a travel wallet, it could be so many different things. I mean, I quite like this now, this size. I tend to put things like my rotary cutter, a pair of scissors, a couple of bits of, you know, I've got like a Sasha code that I'm doing at the moment and I can fold that up and put that in here. So again, they're already commenting about the new machine. No, I'm not using the new machine yet. We're still on the Janome machine. And the reason is because, yeah, I'm trying to save it for Christmas. So I've got something fun to do for me on Christmas Day. So yeah, I'm trying to save it for Christmas, and plus I need to sort out stuff for it as well. But yeah, so don't worry, you will see it. So yeah, so this is the large, but we are actually going to do the smaller size one. And so like you can use it as sewing pouches. The small one you could use to put your needles in, your sewing machine needles, a couple of little threads. Yes, you can use a magnetic clasp on it if you want to. But the other thing that you have on the panel is all of these bits, which are fabric clasps. So you can actually, for example, if I go to the small one, can you see? So you would pop this one on, and then this one goes on the front flap, and then that would tuck into here. You've got a couple of different sizes, and you've also got a wrist strap as well if you wanted to use some hardware. Pop a little tag on, and then you can actually, which there is a tag thing on there as well, and you can pop some hardware, pop a key ring, anything like that. But yes, any clasp. I've just discovered actually silicone magnetic clasp. Wow, they're a bit of a game changer. They definitely are. So yeah, so panel, you're getting 2 sizes on here, and yeah, anything a bit like Sarah, anything that Sarah, what day? Oh, I don't think she can talk. I was wondering what day that postage day is. Do you know? Do we know?
Postage day is. So now you've got everybody back. So yeah.
So Sarah, what's your last postage day? What are you doing?
I'm doing Wednesday, and that's because we close on Wednesday. So my last trip to the post office about 4 o'clock Wednesday afternoon, and then I won't be back until the 5th or 6th of January. Obviously, any orders that come in, we'll dispatch them as soon as we're back in. But yeah, I fly out 9 o'clock on Thursday morning.
No more orders.
No more orders.
Gail, just same question briefly. When's your last day for posting stuff?
I'm going to post right up until Christmas Eve, but I post through Royal Mail, so
God knows when it'll get there.
In the lap of the gods to when you get it. If I'm honest, but everything that I post out from tomorrow onwards, I'm going to post 48-hour tracked.
Yes.
So to make sure that it gets where it's going, because I don't know about anybody else, but it's been a little bit hit and miss. I've had some amazingly, because I did Sewing Street, that I sent out hundreds of orders. They got there really, really super quick. But there's always the odd one, isn't there? That takes like 12 days to get there, and then sadly your customers think that you're letting them down, and that, so that's my little moan for the day. But yeah, I will post. What I want is I want a break between Christmas and New Year. So I'm going to
think we all want that.
Yeah, I'm going to post right up until Christmas, and then hopefully have like a little break then. But I think second class, the last day is Wednesday.
Yeah, I think so.
It's the last promise day, and then I think it's Thursday or Friday. I'm not sure for first class, but yeah, I will post it. And we're just fingers crossed for Royal Mail as to whether they deliver it or not. Because I only use Royal Mail. I don't use the other couriers at the moment.
I shall pass it back to you. There's your updates with everybody. I'll pass it back.
Perfect. So I will probably post up until the end of this week, maybe. That's what I'm sort of hoping on. So as you can see, I'll probably do Thursday or Friday, and then as I say, I'm going to knock off and have a bit of a break. So as you can see, this is the small one, and it's all cut out for you. You will also see that you've got these 2 little dashes. That's your turning hole. Okay, so we've even marked that so that you don't have to worry. You just need to remember not to sew over that. I was going to say something. Oh yeah, so cut it out roughly, then iron it onto, fuse it onto your fabric, and then cut it out precisely. It's just a bit easier. Sorry, mine was going blank then. Couldn't think. Could not think.
Christine's just helped us out. Apparently the 20th is the last day for second class Royal Mail. So perfect. The 20th is Friday. There you go.
Wow. So now that's all cut out. I've cut this out. Thank you, Christine. And what I want to do is I'm going to do this a bit differently, I think. I'm going to go this one, because I've just popped a little bit of interfacing on this as well, because I actually want this one a little bit stiffer. You can put wadding in it as well if you want. So that's all laid up, and what we're going to do is we are going to stitch all the way round now, but we are going to leave a gap in that hole. Leave a gap in that hole, leave a gap where the dashes are. That's what I mean to say. And I am going to pop a little a couple of pins in. For anybody that was asking about the Sizzix Catchem for the pins, which I just absolutely adore this. It's heavy, it's weighty, it stands up. The magnet is unbelievable. It's actually for things like small dies and things for your die cutting machines. I haven't got that. I want it for pins. They will be back in stock. I can't guarantee before Christmas. But if you send me a message and you want to pre-order, and then I sort of have an idea of how many people would like. I think they were, I can't remember, I think they were about £16.50, I think, something like that, £17. Right, so we're going to start it. Yeah, and we've still got Bunty. I haven't set the new one up yet, although it is snap. And I'm still on start stop button, because obviously I haven't put my foot pedal and that back on yet. I will be, and then they sort of said that I'm going back in for more surgery, so it's a bit like start stop. Absolutely fine. And all you're going to do is you're just going to follow those lines, and you can see the lines are pre-printed on there. It is very, very simple. Yes, they have, Jane. Yes,
Can I just say you're very good at reading the questions and doing stuff at the same time?
Well, do you know what it is? I think because we've been doing Sasha Sews now for such a long time, and it's that thing, isn't it, of one of my moderators is Christine.
Oh, the post lady.
Christine, yes. And she keeps an eye on things that I miss, which is brilliant, because, and Jane does, if I miss anything, miss any comments, they will let me know. But I do tend to always keep an eye at the same time, you know, because sometimes you're looking at hundreds and hundreds of comments. You know, sometimes, I think the other day we had like 1,300 comments after my Sasha Santa Claus on last Sunday evening.
Was most of that about the outfit?
Yeah, they were just absolutely wetting themselves about the secret Santa that day, and yeah.
I've got an even more involved answer about post now. Apparently Wednesday the 18th is the last day for second class, 20th is for first class, 21st for 48-hour tracked, and the 23rd for special delivery. And Yvonne on YouTube would like to know, what's the new machine?
Oh, so the new, yeah, that's the thing. I'm on Facebook, so I can't see the YouTube one. It's the Duke, the Dukey. Yeah, they approached me a little while ago, and so yeah, but it's here, and I keep looking at it. But you know, it's that thing where I keep thinking, but I sort of want it for Christmas, and so I know it sounds really bizarre because we sew all year round, but I do Christmas Day and Boxing Day because now my children are older. Although saying that, obviously, we all know that I'm going to be a grandma for the first time in February, which is pretty frightening. Not by Lily, by the way, by my oldest. Before everyone starts having a heart failure, Lily, the amount of messages when I first said my daughter and they presumed Lil, and poor Adam was literally like, oh my God, Lily. No, it's not Lily. It's all good. Yeah, so now they're older, I do quite like to do a little bit of me sewing on Christmas Day. So I quite like, I don't know, there's a kimono block I've wanted to do. There's been a cushion that I've wanted to do. I want to make myself another jelly roll technique bag as well. So
I'm very talking of jelly roll rugs. Did you found that one that came back to you in the post, didn't you? Could you send it to me at some point? Thanks.
So this is where, so if anybody missed, I was having a really bad couple of weeks after Create and Craft finished. I mean, really, really bad. And I had hit a bit of a low, and I had all these wonderful orders come through. And yeah, so I think it was 16 orders I posted to myself with their names on. Including Hayley's jelly roll rag.
Yeah, we needed that for America, but it went to your house, so that's fine.
But it was great. It was great. And then I was like, oh my God, it hasn't arrived. And then I went to the post pile, and there it was. It was good. Often happens, these things. Right, so let's just do that last bit. And so I quite like these little markings on here, so I know where I've got a start and stop. And just go back and secure those stitches a little bit. Yeah, this poor machine is slowly dying. Slowly dying. I think we're on like terminal now because we can't even do a will you two behave yourself? Do you know, I've got them. Do you know, can I just say,
I'm just showing Sarah my collection of zoo pens.
Yeah, you can show your collection of zoo pens. I'm being on my best behaviour today. I'm being very professional. I have everything covered. I have no cleavage out. I'm not even showing any of my bottom today either. And I look down and Sarah Payne is eating a lollipop and giggling, and Hayley is holding her pens up.
I've put it back to everybody. Gail's disappeared. Sarah's eating a lollipop. I've got all my zoo pens out.
Honestly, the things that go on, you know.
Sorry, carry on. We're being.
Yeah. Right. So the other thing that I like to do is I just clip these corners, okay? Because I like to have a little bit of movability, so I can get a really nice point. The other thing you're going to do is you're going to clip around the curve. Now, what that means is I'm going to clip up to my stitches, not through my stitches, not on my stitches, not to the other side of my stitches. I'm going to go sort of up to my stitches. Really important around that curve, because it just means that you're going to get a really nice curve. It's not going to be angular. I don't know if you can see that. Can you just see? It's just a little gentle clipping. Always does good. Oh, saying that, my dogs have got to go and get clipped on Thursday. That's going to be traumatic in itself. Stewie normally walks home on his own and gets really angry. Brings himself home, bless him. And we also just take off that bulk in those corners. So let me just get rid of that rubbish. So that is how we're looking. We've cut those corners off. We've got a little gap here, and then we're going to start turning through. I will warm. I was going to say warm the oven up. No, I don't want to warm the oven up. I'm going to warm the iron up. Goodness me. I'm going to warm that iron up because you also want to give this a really, really good press while you're turning through. Now, if you've got your turny sticky things, they're always good as well. And so, do you know, it always amazes me how, like when I see sashasews.com up there, I don't know how you do it. And like the barcode thing, I don't know how you do it. I can't even work out how to put a dedicated secret sewing club thing on my page because I don't even know where to get the picture from.
We can tell you how to do that. We can send you the picture. I've got Teresa on YouTube asking, new here, what are you working on and what is the QR code for? So the QR code, if you scan that, that will take you directly to Sasha's website where you can get all of the lovely things she is making and doing.
Oh, thank you, Hayley. So, yeah, so what we are doing is we are making one of my purse panels. And on the panel, you are getting 2. And this is the most fiddly bit of it all, to be quite honest. This is where I love my nails because you can just go around that curve. Make sure that you pop all of that out. What's Christine saying? The most traumatic experience was when we had our Whippet's nails. You would think we were trying to murder them. Honestly, he's terrible. Stuart is absolutely, aren't you? She let him out in the garden to have a wee while she was washing and doing Lulu. And the next minute, I had a knock at the door from these girls to say that I had a dog outside my house. He was outside my gate and he was just sat there. And basically, he just got bored and come home. Tottered up the road. I mean, she does live probably a 10-minute walk. But yeah, bless him. Right, so I'm still just here. And as I say, this is the most stressful bit, I find. Because you want to get all those corners out. You want to poke everything out perfectly. I'm just going to pop pen in here. Pokey tool if you've got one. No idea where my pokey tool stiletto thing has gone. Poke all of those out. One more. And then we are going to give it a really nice press. So that is how we are looking so far. And I'm going to turn a bit more. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just press on top of this hole because I want to press that so it's nice and closed. Now, yes, I'm using the shimmer glitter fabric. The amazing thing about this glitter fabric is you've all realised, you've all fallen in love with it as well. This glitter just doesn't come off. Great for ironing. As you can see, I'm ironing straight on top of it. I'm not having to worry. Nothing like that. So that is that hole pressed shut. And then I'm going to give it a really, really good press. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to top stitch round it all. But you're not going to want to watch me doing that because, again, it's a bit boring. But what we will do is we will go back to Hayley when she starts behaving herself, being serious.
What do you need from me, my lovely?
So I was saying that I've got to top stitch in the second way round, but I thought if we go back to everybody, I can get that bit done and then
finish it off in your next bit.
finish it off in my next
Well,
bit.
that's why it's quite nice having it as a secret sewing club, because you actually get to see things proper start to finish, rather than just seeing a little bit of it and then seeing a little bit of it kind of. Yeah, because we always used to get kind of cut off a bit. But if we know you're just top stitching, then you can crack on in your little box down there, and
Yeah, exactly that.
just crack on in your little box down the bottom. We'll leave you there. Right, Gail, did you have a think about what your best present was?
No.
No, because you didn't, because you keep wandering out.
I keep wandering off. Well, I'll let you into a little secret. I'm not just wandering off and gossiping. I'm trying to set up all my tests.
Oh, okay.
So I can come off the naughty step. I'm trying. Sarah is kindly trying to set up all this tech for me.
We might eventually get a little cameo from Sarah at the end.
Yeah, and then next when I'm back in January, hopefully I shall be doing it from my own location and not gate crashing poor Sarah at White Gecko every time. So.
That is the beauty of this, though. Everybody has just been pitching in. Everybody's been helping each other out. There's, kind of people. I know there's a lot of people who are kind of on the phone to other guys saying, "Oh, I've got this. I'm not sure how to work this piece of software. Can you help me out?" So it has been. It's been good because everybody's kind of come together and definitely helped each other to try and work stuff out.
I think you need to take some credit for that, Hayley, because you've herded us. Because left alone, we would all be floundering off somewhere.
Well, I can't
speak for everybody when I say that, but I certainly would have been, and without the support of you and Sarah at White Gecko, I would have seriously struggled. But I think we're all busy finding our own way. Exactly.
And I feel like I've always missed somebody. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I haven't called such and such, and I haven't called such and such. Yeah. We'll get there in the end. There's just a lot of people to kind of get round, and there's a lot of buttons to push as well.
Yeah, and there's a lot of new people joining, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
So there's some people that I know, so there's an exciting.
There's new companies joining. There's new people kind of subscribing to both YouTube and to Facebook. We can go live on Facebook tomorrow, but not today because it's not 60 days old. No. We had to be 60 days old before they would let us go live, and I did try and appeal it, but they weren't having it.
Are you going to do a little live tomorrow to celebrate?
Well, I wasn't planning on it. Does anybody want to come and just bounce tomorrow?
Couldn't you? Could pull a cracker or something? I don't know.
I'll just ring everybody up and everybody can just pop in and say hi.
No, you're on your own. You're on your own.
I'm not coming tomorrow. You can't suggest it, then immediately back out, Gail.
Oh, I can. Yeah, no, but that involves me sorting out all my tech by tomorrow, and that's I've probably more chance of winning the lottery.
Well, no, we only have to be on Facebook because that's the only new bit.
All right.
So I could just do a regular Facebook Live and then just add you in.
Yeah.
I think this is if this had happened, like if we found ourselves in this situation 2 or 3 years ago, we wouldn't have had this outlet because technology has come on so far with video conferencing and stuff like that.
If this had happened pre-COVID, I think we would have really struggled. And I think because everybody got a lot more au fait with this kind of stuff in COVID,
I'm struggling now. I'm still, even Gail's ahead of me. Come on.
Even.
I've had a conversation with you, and we're both as bad as each other with tech. And it's like, I haven't got, if I wanted to get a camera above me, I'm thinking I'd have to go from the light switch with some string.
No, you get it.
Angle poise, overheads. I've got 3 cameras.
You get a little clamp thing.
Yeah, and then one of these.
You get a little clamp, exactly. Little clamp thing and whoop.
Yep, just clamp to and I use something called OBS, which is great, which enables me to and it's free. It does take a bit of setting it up, But I did a live the other day with my friend Debbie Moore, and she was on OBS, got her into Zoom, then onto my OBS, and then out onto mine and her Facebook pages.
Yeah.
And it worked. We had a bit of a problem with the sound, and we did spend about 2 hours a day before just trying to not have a nervous breakdown. So I can imagine exactly where you're coming from, Hayley.
Yeah, I mean, what I
this.
tend to do is I sort everybody else out and then forget to sort my own stuff out because I'm so conscious of getting everybody else sorted.
I mute my microphone and then I'm talking for 5 minutes before I realise that no one can hear
Yeah,
me.
that's the one. That's the one. Right, Gail. While Sasha's finishing her top stitching, and oh, is she done?
No, it's fine. I can.
Okay.
Gail can go, and then we'll do it in part 2.
All right, perfect. Okay, let me set up Gail. Are you ready, Gail? Or have you got anything is there still... I mean, now I feel bad for saying you've wandered off, but you were just getting yourself set up, ready so you could do it all by yourself.
Yes, I'm gonna put my big girl's knickers on and get myself sorted.
All right, I'll pass it over to you then.
Okay, thank you. I'm not sure. You're gonna have to message in. I was going to show sewing the glitter felt on the machine, but if I'm honest, I've given up on that notion now, and I'm on to something else. So I think I said earlier, got quite a few offers on the website. So there's some kits on there with like big reductions. I've done some reductions on the little fairies, because I think the little fairies are not necessarily just for Christmas. They could be for other occasions as well. Could be a little tooth fairy. Could be just to brighten up a child's bedroom. You could hang them from the bedroom doors or whatever. So as like a nice like little Christmassy thing, I've put some offers on those and some other kits as well. So check out those on the website. But I thought, I know it's Christmas and it's close to Christmas, but I personally, I like to sew Christmas things at Christmas, because I find that from a business point of view, I have to start things really early in the year. But then when there's that gap between Christmas and New Year, I'm still in a Christmassy mood, but so I still want to sew like little Christmassy things. So these have been around a while, but I thought it's a good opportunity to get them out. So they're my little mini Santas, because one, they're a nice like little quick make, and two, they're handy for gifting. They're good for somebody who wants to make and sell, and you get a kit that gives you enough materials to make 2 of them, either in red or in grey. And then you've got the pattern, so you can go on and make as many as you want then, and maybe from your own fabrics. There's also a little kit for some snowmen, and in the kit for the snowmen, you get enough materials to make 3 snowmen, including all their little eyes, noses, buttons, all the check for their scarves, the hats, their baubles, even the baker's twine to hang them up. So the only thing that you need to complete these little sets is some toy stuff in that we've all got a little bit around the house, and I think some of you probably sell the toy stuff in as well. I don't, but maybe Hayley does. I think that might be, I might be speaking out of turn, but it might be something that that Hayley does.
No, it's not one that I have at the minute, I'm afraid. But I'll do a text round. I'll find out for you.
Yeah. So it could be something that that you do in the future then. So I'm just going to whip you over to overhead, and I'm going to give you a little demo on how easy it is to make these little Santas. So in your kit, you'll get quite a large piece of red fleece, and I demoed earlier about freezer paper. So what I did is I actually used freezer paper to give you all the pattern pieces. And the reason I did that is because some of these pieces are small. I just thought, you know what, it's easier for you to cut out the pieces using freezer paper. So you can just run an iron over that, give it a little iron on the wrong side of the fabric. That will stick to the to the fleece quite nicely. And then you can go in with a pair of scissors and cut the shape out. And then the beauty of it is, as I explained earlier, you'll still have your paper pattern piece that you'll remove, and then you can use the pattern piece over again. Because the beauty of the freezer paper is it doesn't leave any residue to your fleece, and it will stick probably 4 or 5 times. You can keep on ironing it on, or I just say use it as many times as it will stick. Once it stops sticking, then you just throw it in the bin and then start again.
Gail, I know you asked me to put the fleece up.
Oh yeah,
and we've put it up on the Craft Yourself Silly Secret Sewing Club, because I know it's the same one as you use within your kits, so that is there if anybody wants it.
Yeah, we do. Hayley and I get fleece from the same suppliers, so I don't sell the fleece, but that's a good go-to place to go. And you're stocking quite a few colours, aren't you, Hayley? And you will be
the only one I can't get at the minute is I think it's like emerald green.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's because I probably used it all on my elves.
Yes. Okay. It's all your fault.
Yeah, I did go through quite a lot of emerald green on my little elves. So and again, fleece is such a forgiving fabric to work with. So when I first started, I was always a bit scared of fleece because I thought, because it's got a little stretch in there, it would be challenging to sew. But it's really, really forgiving. So it's got like it's not a pile, but it's got like a little bit of texture on the one side, and your stitches all disappear into it, which is really handy. So if you go off for a little wander, they disappear quite nicely. So in your kit, I've got a kit somewhere that
I've got a good tip for toy stuffing as well. Anne Wilson says for toy stuffing, she buys a set of 2 pillows from Asda for £4. Same stuff as toy filling, but much cheaper. Yeah,
I used to do a lot of that actually. I used to buy a lot of pillows, and because they are pillows and that, they're fully fire retardant and everything else, so you can use that. The only thing I sometimes find with some pillows is it can be like a little bit lumpy.
It's not carded quite as well as the toy. It's not quite as soft and carded quite as well as that.
No, but
I also have Helen. She says she's just made one of your fairies and she loves it. Aww. And Laura, all packed for the holiday, so able to watch you with a glass of wine.
Oh.
Do you know what though, Gail? We're going to be doing a later one of these in February. We're getting a Thursday night one as well. I mean, there's nothing stopping wine on that one, I don't think. No. It's after 5 o'clock. That's wine o'clock, isn't it?
Exactly. The sun is well and truly past the yard arm by then, so I think that's fair game. And of course, by then I'll be at home, so I'll be able to have a little tipple. I won't have to drive home because
perfect. Okay, we're on.
So in your kit, you'll have the freezer paper, and you'll have all the little shapes ready for you, and then you can iron them onto your felt. His little beard and that is in glitter felt. And that, so in your pattern, I'll give you all the instructions of the little bits to sew on. So you can sew his little belt on, and then you cut out and sew on the little cream piece for his face, and then pop the beard on. And then what I did is I just popped the beard on there, and then just sewed around the inside edge. And here's one that I prepared earlier. So you can see now his beard's in place, his face is in place, and the belt. Then you're going to take another piece of fleece and lay them right sides together, and then we're going to sew all the way around, leaving the top edge open to turn through. So but before we turn it through, so you can see I've sewn round, leaving the top edge open, we're actually going to box the edges. So lots of us know what boxing is like, because we do it with a lot of bag making. So you're going to get the 2 seams to match together, and then you're going to sew across about a ½ inch. I always say you don't have to agonize too much about how far it is, as long as you're consistent on both sides. And you can see here the snowmen were done the same way. So you can see, because it's white, you can see a little bit better where the edges are boxed. So you pull it apart, get the edges to the seams to nestle together nicely there, and then just sew across. And then I just double back to make sure it's nice and secure. And then we're going to turn this through. Well, this one hasn't got the little features in there, but I've got one that has, so I'll bring that in a second. So then when it turns through, you can see it gives a nice boxed bottom, which gives that nice sort of flat edge. So then what you end up with is, once you've turned it through, you end up with a little center that looks like this. And then we're going to get some stuff in, and we're going to stuff. You could, if you wanted them to stand up, you could put a little bit of weight in the bottom, a little bit of fish tank gravel or something. But as these are going to hang from a tree, you want to keep them nice and light. So we're going to stuff the little center, and then just close up the opening. Don't worry about how neat you close up the opening, because we're going to add a little hat. So again, with the pattern, now you've got your pattern piece. This time we're going to pin the pattern piece to 2 layers of fleece, like so. And then we're going to sew around the pattern, leaving the straight bottom edge open. And then we're going to trim back the excess fleece. So this is where we are. We've got our little traffic cone shape. We're going to turn that through. We'll turn that through nicely. You've now got this little hat. And then I like to put the hat on the head before I apply any of the other features, because that way, sometimes if you sew the eyes and the nose on first, you find that when you go to put the hat on, you've hidden where the eyes and that are. So I like to sew his little hat in place first. So just a few little stitches all the way around. And then for his hat brim, in the pattern again, it tells you how to cut a little rectangle of fleece, and then to sew up the one edge. And then you could either turn this through and leave it like it is, just tucking the edges over. Or what I tend to do is I like to get the edges to meet. Sort of reminds me a little bit of like bias tape. So I'm getting the edges to meet all the way around, and then with a needle and thread, I go around and just tack those raw edges together, and then that'll give me a nice little band. So you can see here that I've got one that I've partially sewn. If I can just bring the needle and thread in, and then you can see where I'm getting the 2 edges to meet. Something else, Hayley, I always think with Christmas decorations, on the weekend, on Friday, I was demonstrating making a little fabric Christmas tree. Don't be scared of using glue. Now, I tend not to use much glue at all, because I'm in the business of sewing and I quite enjoy the process of sewing. But if you're in a hurry and you've got a glue gun, then you're more than welcome to use a glue gun.
Nothing wrong with a bit of glue or a bit of fabric glue. And then it opens it up to people that, maybe are younger and can't have pointy needles, or people who maybe haven't got the dexterity anymore and can, can still hold a pair of scissors, but maybe can't handle the smaller needles.
Yeah, and also if you're making to sell, so things like this is quite nice as a little craft to make to sell for charity, or if you do craft stalls and whatever, then a glue gun does speed up the process. So it'd be a 2-second job to just put a couple of little dabs of glue to hold that in place, and then again with the little hat brim, then you can bring that down. And then the hat brim covers all the raw edges quite nicely, and he starts to come to life. And then the same with your little pattern pieces. The tash is already traced out for you, so you're just going to iron that onto your felt. I did use a glitter felt. Now, this glitter felt is not the glitter felt I was showing you earlier. This is a soft acrylic felt, so it's much easier to manipulate, and that for his little beard and that. So, and in your kit as well, you've got a little pom-pom. So once we put the little pom-pom and the tash in place, you can see he's coming to life. And then just to finish him off, in your kit, you've got 2 little black beads for his eyes. So you just sew the 2 little black beads in for his eyes. And then I quite like the hats to just sort of fold down on the side. So then I just use a little pom-pom to attach to the hat. And also in there you've got some baker's twine. And then what I did is, if you look, can you see here? I made a little hole here and then threaded the baker's twine through, so that when I turned the hat over, it hid where the knot was. So we can see there, that's where the knot is. It is in the pattern for you. So I'm always thinking about where I can hide little things out of the way. And then the baker's twine comes out the back of his hat quite nicely. And he's all good to hang up. Also in the pattern, there's a little tiny piece of glitter felt as well for his belt buckle. Now, I find that with things that are that small, it's really easier just to cut it freehand. There is a little template in there, you can see here, for the buckle, but sometimes it's just easier just to get a pair of scissors and go in there, cut a little rectangle and cut the space out yourself. And also you could use a craft knife as well. So a craft knife will help. And there's his little buckle. Now I did use a little dab of glue to hold that in place, or you could just do a few little stitches. But I think he's quite a nice, like, little Christmas decoration. And also I quite like making decorations for friends, because then when you go to their houses then each Christmas, you can see the little decorations that you've given.
You've got a lot of comments coming in. Liz has just ordered 3 of your patterns and she'll be ahead for next year.
Oh,
Laura
wow.
says, how do you clean the machine if any glitter has shed when sewing?
So you have like different machines. So my machine, I sew on a Benina, and my Benina uses oil. So so in the race of my machine, and it's a bottom feed-in bobbin. So I get like a build-up of oil in that in my machine. A lot of modern machines now, I think, I can't speak for all of them, but a brother, I think, being one of them, you don't oil those machines. They're self-lubricating, the parts that are in them. So they've got less oil in there. So the glitter doesn't tend to stick to those as much as it does for us using old school machines that take oil. So my favorite go-to is a makeup brush rather than the brush that comes with the machine. And then I just shush it with the little brush, and I get the hoover in there. So I use a hoover. I tend not to. So a lot of people use compressed air, and they blow compressed air into their machine. I find with compressed air, you just blow in wherever you're blowing further into the machine, and I really want to suck it out. I don't find that I get I sew a lot of glitter felt, as you can imagine, with all my samples. I don't find I get a lot of residue with it, and I don't find it has any detrimental effect on my machine either. But it's good practice. I don't practice what I preach, but it's good.
None of us do. We're all supposed to tidy it up.
Yeah, to give your machine a little hoover out, maybe at the end of a project.
I have a few more comments for you. Laura Harris, you're so well prepared for these lives, Gail. Love your little makes.
Oh, thank you.
Betty says he's so cute. Sarah Jane Kennedy, I made my first full quilt this year and have started another. I think I've caught the sewing bug, as well as other paper craft projects.
Well, I think...
Anne says, Gail, you are so very talented.
Oh, bless. I'm blushing now, but I'm not on camera, so that's okay. I think sewing's a bit like crack cocaine, isn't it? Fabric. Once you start, you're addicted and you can't stop. And I think I'll just go back to front facing.
Our little 2-roll quilts have been called a gateway quilt by the people when we were in America, because it's one you get started on and then you get the result and then you're on to the next. And I think your little kits are the same thing. They're a gateway kit, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. And I'd like to think that I've made lots of quilts in the past and taught quilting. But what I'm trying to offer is like little projects that can fit in between your big projects, your big quilting projects and that. and also to give people an option to try different fabrics and that. I think we're all a bit scared sometimes of stretchy fabric, or worried about sewing things like felts and fleece through our machines. Our machines will sew through untold things. I mean, when I did my City and Guilds and that, I sewed through all manner of stuff, including sweet wrappers. I'd sew through paper bags and everything. I've appliqued onto paper bags. So you can, I always say, give it a go. You know, you can't do, you can't go wrong. Just go slowly and gently, but try all different kinds of fabrics and don't limit yourself. I think when I first started out, I just used 100% cotton and was scared to touch anything else. But there's so many lovely fabrics out there and that. And I just wanted to share with you, Hayley. I did, I can't quite believe the response I've had, but on my Facebook page, I did an Advent challenge. So people need to post a picture every day of something that they've made. So for 24 days, they have to post a picture. And I said, it can be, they make anything at all. So the beauty of it is, on my Facebook page, I've had quilts and dolls and crochet. I've seen some of Sarah Payne's work, some of Sasha's. I've seen some things that the White Gecko do. I've seen people like Dandelion Designs and whatever. So it's not just been about my projects, it's been about lots of other projects.
Let me go and grab everybody else then, because Sasha's back in the room. She was fiddling.
Yeah, she's engrossed.
Oh, there was cameras going all over the place before, but she's just got back in time. Just got back in time.
Issue with the battery, it then said I had 5% left.
What?
So I was like, oh, okay, I didn't charge that then. So let's just pop that lead in there.
Perfect. Right. So I have a question, which I'm not sure about. Jeanette Chapman. Could anyone tell me what Superflex is, please? That's not one I've come across. Anybody come across Superflex?
No.
No. Right.
It's
Jeanette.
probably something else with a different brand name, isn't it?
Yeah,
Probably
Jeanette, that question was on YouTube. So, Jeanette, if you can give us a bit more of an idea of what it is or what it's supposed to do, then yes, we'll hopefully try and get you some answers on that one. Sarah had somebody looking for your downloads in America. Is there a way that they can get hold of them if it's not your brochure they were looking for about binding? They're in America, obviously not practical to post it. Is it available as a download?
Yes, they are. All my patterns are as a download. On my website, there's an area called downloads, and I think they're £5 each, and some of them are £2.50.
Ooh, bargain.
Yeah, and then you can get them full colour. They're basically the real pattern, only digitally.
Excellent. I have another question for you then, about Christmas dinner this time. What's the best bit of Christmas dinner and what's the worst bit of Christmas dinner?
Roast potatoes. Best bit, roast potatoes. Worst bit, sprouts.
Oh, I see. No, I love sprouts.
Hate sprouts.
Love sprouts all day. There's some in my fridge. I'm going to have some with my tea. And there's my wobbly pen.
Can I just answer about Superflex?
You what?
Superflex.
Yes.
Are we sure? Are we sure it is Superflex? Because I have Superflex is an equine supplement for horses.
Well, that's what Jeanette says. Could anyone tell me what Superflex is?
Or advanced polyurethane suspension
brushes. Yeah, that's the other one that I've got.
Okay, Jeanette, if you want to come back to us on either YouTube.
Hang on. Superflex, 50 centimetre wide, 1 metre roll, is a general purpose textile transfer film that has a mild sticky backing, making intricate designs.
There you go. Every day's a school day.
It looks like it's an embroidery. It's for multicolour transfer layering. Is that the one we're meaning?
That will maybe need more investigation then. Well, I'll have a look Well, because Sarah's demonstrating next, so I'll have a look, and we'll have. I've caused controversy with this Christmas dinner thing. There's a lot of lot of questions coming in now. You're all in my kitchen as I make a meat pie for tea, so I will be ready for Sasha Sews. Christine says sprouts and parsnips. Rosemary Hodges says the washing up, and I think that must be the worst bit. Chipolata pigs in blankets.
Gravy, good
and
gravy.
Bread sauce. It's gotta be thick gravy. You can't have a watery gravy.
Yeah, all made with the meat juices.
Yes, I agree. I mean, being northern, my gravy is sometimes sliceable. It needs to be that thick.
Puddings with Christmas dinner.
Absolutely.
So do I, but apparently northern, it's a bit of a shouldn't have it because Yorkshire puddings are only with roast beef.
No.
I saw that the other day. I saw something on Instagram.
Sorry, you can put Yorkshire puddings with anything you like.
I completely agree.
Put it anything, anywhere you like. And somebody's with me on the sprout train. Oh,
Yeah,
I've got
I like
3
sprouts.
thumbs up and 3 likes.
I like sprouts. I'm a sprout liker. I cannot stand bread sauce, and I cannot stand swede.
Do you know what? I don't think I've ever tried bread sauce.
Oh,
It just doesn't appeal.
No, it just makes me feel. I've never tried it, and it just makes me want to vomit.
No,
Just
I've never.
can't
I mean,
handle it. My nan always had bread
what's
sauce.
she got? Chocolate sprouts.
I love a parsnip. I
Those
love
are
a
the
honey
only
crispy
sprouts.
parsnip.
Oh, I don't know. I had some sprouts at a barbecue restaurant in Texas, and I think they could have turned anybody to eating sprouts. They were amazing.
So
they were super amazing. Gail,
I love
what's your
parsnip. Love sprout.
what's your best bit and worst bit from a Christmas dinner?
So roast potatoes and roast parsnips. I love both. And well, to be honest, I do love a roast. So I don't think there is a bad bit of roast. I think I love it all. The pigs in blankets, the stuffing, the turkey. I love it. And I like a bit of cauliflower cheese with it.
Oh, yeah.
We just started doing that recently, and I mean, I'm there for it. It's
Cheese sauce with gravy.
It's not that bad.
Oh, I know it's lovely.
It's quite.
I love it.
No, you've got to try it. It's quite good.
I know when I first thought about it, I was like, oh no, I need to separate it. I need to have like a separation thing. But
That's
now
what I was like.
Embrace it all. But I'm with you, Hayley. I'm a thick gravy. I don't do this Jew business. It's like dishwater.
It looks a bit like dirty water, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm not a Jew girl.
No, it's got to be thick because then it doesn't make your dinner soggy. It coats it, but the roast potato's still crispy.
But that's what the Yorkshire pudding is for. It's for a bowl.
Exactly.
You fill your Yorkshire pudding up with
Well,
gravy.
you say that, but we've got a Yorkshire pudding comment here. Yorkshire pudding with golden syrup and custard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yorkshire pudding with rice pudding inside. Oh my god.
Double puddings? What?
Yep, so you have rice pudding and you put it inside your Yorkshire pudding. Oh
Right.
my
This
goodness.
has started quite a debate now. So I'm gonna moderate the comments and let Sarah continue with her second demonstration because this now appears to be out of hand. I shall pass it over to you, Sarah, and I'll sort this out. Bye bye.
I'm just thinking about the rice pudding. Oh, can't bear rice pudding anyway, but Right. I thought that as well, we would have, or I would have a look at a quilting technique, okay, or a patchwork technique. So I've got, this is a new pattern that was launched yesterday, the new kit, and I'll show you. I've got to move back a bit. There we go. That, can you see that? Oh, that is a mariner's compass. All right. It's not huge. This is a lap quilt because I think sometimes people are a little bit put off by intricate designs when you do a massive quilt. So have a go at something in a smaller scale. You could also put 4 of these together to make this into a double bed quilt. So this uses foundation paper piecing, and I use freezer paper for doing this. Okay. The reason for this is when you do foundation paper piecing, you would have your design onto paper, so you print it out or draw it or whatever on paper, and then you sew through it with the paper in your project. And once you've finished, you take all the paper out, and it's that bit. It's the bit that you're taking the paper out. It makes a mess. You've got to shorten your stitch, which means if you make a mistake, it's really difficult to unpick. Whereas if you use freezer paper, which we were looking at earlier, and freezer paper is a really cheap product. It's generally by Reynolds. You can get it off Amazon for like 3 rolls for a tenner. It's really, really cheap, but it's designed for wrapping your food up and putting in the freezer. But it has a plastic coating on one side, which when you press it onto fabric, the fabric sticks. That's what we want. That's what we're going to take advantage of. So I'll just show you first of all the pattern. Let's have a look at the pattern there. Right, okay, here you go. Here is the pattern. And this kit is available on my website, and the kit itself includes all the fabric that you need for the front and the binding and the backing as well. So this is the pattern. It's got all the templates with it, and the kit comes with the freezer paper as well. It's not available as a pattern yet. It will be in the new year, but as it's just come out yesterday, it's only available in kit form. So I should show you the kit. Oh, I've just whacked my camera then. Sorry about that. Right, so you've got your freezer paper. I think it's 60 centimetres, either 60 centimetres or 75, I can't remember. I think it's 60. And it's smooth on one side and it's shiny on the other. And the shiny side is the side that sticks to your fabric. Then we've got these gorgeous fabrics here. This is Revival by Macawa. And the colours are absolutely stunning. There is 30 centimetres of your 6 fabrics in total. Now, as I said, it is a kit on the page, on my page, but you can use it's £60 and it includes everything except the wadding. But you can use the secret code to get a further 10% off. Okay. Then we've got this backing. Now, I love this backing. This came to us via Newtex, and it is stunning as a backing. It's also great when you use a busy backing on the back. You can really have a go with the quilting on the front, and it's not going to show on the back. So you can really play with free motion quilting with this. Christine says you can't get freezer paper in A4 sizes. Well, you can cut them to A4 sizes if you want to. The problem is if you put them through the printer, most printers use heat, and that's what makes that sticky. Therefore, it will get stuck in your printer. So I wouldn't suggest you do that. Do it that way. Do it that way. And then we've got
Sarah. Sorry? If you've got just basically, if you've got a cheaper printer, if you've got just an inkjet printer, you should be fine. I wouldn't put it through something that's like what would be a laser printer or a laser jet printer, because those are the ones that use heat to fuse the kind of, it's like a powder that it fuses to the paper. So if your ink runs, so if you've printed your thing and you can put water on it and your ink runs, that printer you should be fine with. If it doesn't run when you put water on it, don't put it through that.
Somebody just said that you can get A4 sheets.
Amazon sells
them, and Gail uses them, so obviously you can. I've never bought them in A4 sheets, but I buy them by the roll because I use so much of the stuff.
It's a lot cheaper. And Helen says that your quilt is stunning.
Oh, thank you.
And there's still a lot of Yorkshire pudding chat, which I'm trying to ignore for you.
I've had so much fun making this. It's absolutely beautiful. And if you read any of my patterns, you know I love a bit of history. So there's some in the pattern about the history of the the mariner's compass. It was actually first seen in 1726 in an English quilt. And it kind of represents the little windrushes that you would see on old-fashioned maps, like where it says there be dragons, and there'll be one of these in the corner, and it's become part of the sort of arsenal that quilters have. So okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we use freezer paper to make our piece. Now you get the template, and this is a big project, so the template is in 4 pieces, and then you tape it together, all right, so that the lines match up. And then just open that again. If I put this on, if I put a piece of freezer paper on the top, you'll see that you can see your design through it. Okay, so you trace your design onto your freezer paper. Now your freezer paper can be used a couple of times before it sort of gets fluff attached to it, and you have to replace it. But there's my piece, right? So I've taken the part of the template and I've traced it. I've traced my design using rulers, and then I've copied the numbers across. And for this pattern, I've written the colours as well. I forgot to write one of the colours in there. It doesn't matter which colour you use, you just have to be consistent, because you can see that the effect that you get with that 3D is because each one is the same. So just make sure whichever you do. So I'll do this as mustard. Oh, mustard, lines, mustard, lines, mustard, and lines. Also, foundation paper piecing lets you create things with these really sharp points that it would just be a nightmare trying to piece this and trying to piece it accurately. So the first step we're going to do, I've got a seam allowance marked on it, and then I'm going to fold along the lines between, it's easier if I don't do it on the cutting mat, along the lines like that. It just makes it easier. Right. There are lots of photographs in this pattern. In fact, I think there's 60 odd photos, so there is plenty of help there. I also did a live on my Facebook yesterday with this, where I demoed the section, a smaller section of this. Right. Just folding along the lines, and we're going to start on the pattern. You can see on the pattern here, all the pieces are numbered, and that's the order in which we're going to sew them. And this is also where you really want to have a little sewing station, ironing station next to where you're sewing, because you're going to be using your iron a lot. So I've got the numbers that I'm working in, and I've got the fabrics that I'm using. So the first one is the big floral. So let's get a bit of the big floral out. And I tend to, let's get my rotary cutter, cut the pieces down a bit rather than trying to manage the whole lot. It's just easier. So what I've got to do, because this is the paper side, we're going to stick our fabrics to this sticky side. All right, so you want a piece of fabric that's going to be big enough to cover the whole of that, and then hang over our fold by 1/4 of an inch. All right, and then I'm going to take it to the iron. Oh, bring the iron to it so you can see. Right. So the joy of doing foundation piecing like that is, as I said, you don't have to pull the papers out because we're going to reuse the papers. So you only have to trace it once. Right, and I'm going to fold it back now because that, you see, that's stuck. All right. Then I'm going to get my next piece, which needs to be mustard, because I've written the letter M on there to tell me. A lot of people find this technique a bit scary, but it's just a matter of taking it carefully and slowly, all right, and getting everything to line up. So this lines up with that 1/4 inch, okay, and lines up with the 1/4 inch, and we're going to sew from the back along the fold in the paper. All right, so let's go to the sewing machine. Oh, let's go to the sewing machine even. There we are. Right. So because we're not going to sew through our papers, we don't have to adjust our stitch width, our stitch length. Normally, you adjust your stitch length so that you're perforating through the paper and you can tear the paper out. Because we're not going to tear the paper out, we don't have to worry about that. You also don't have to be able to, you don't have to do a stop stitch at either end. All right. Okay. Now come back. Ooh, hang on.
Sarah, I've just got a question from Helen Tippins. Is it all FPP?
No, because the borders are half square and 1/4 square triangles.
Right.
So the centre is FPP, yes.
To get those nice points on the
It is.
circle. It's a lot easier to do it that way than it is to try and cut all the bits out the right size.
Yeah, doing it with rulers and cutting everything out is just an absolute nightmare. Another piece of equipment, which I've just taken out the packet and I didn't realise was covered in plastic, that is really useful for this, and this is on my website, is the add a 1/4 ruler. See this? It's a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I put it on there, and then I can trim it. So I've got a 1/4 inch. Now I'm going to open that up. All right. And then what I will turn it over again, fold back the next section because we've done 1 and 2, and fold back to 2 and trim that. Now the next piece of my fabric is the one with lines on. Let's find it. Oh.
Sarah, I've got a message from Lynn. She says she's trying to wrap presents and watch you make a quilt, and she keeps getting lost as to where she's up to in her presents because she's watching you. So anybody could get anything this Christmas. It's a bit of a lottery.
Yeah, we're being too interesting.
Sorry. We'll put a stop to that.
I've placed that on here. Well, I want to check that when I turn it back, it's going to cover the whole section. And that's why it's helpful to have folded between the lines, because I can see that's the next line and I know that's going to fit. Right. Turn that. Come back to the sewing machine. Right, so that's got my 1/4 inch seam allowance. If you do accidentally sew through the fold, don't worry about it, because you can put a bit of sellotape on it if you need to, but you want to get as close as you can to the fold. As close as you can to that fold. All right. All right. Let me come back here and we'll do the next bit. I find this quite therapeutic. Right, so that's the section with lines on it. Because what can happen is you get distracted and you got halfway round and you get quite smug with yourself, and then you fold back and you trim it to there and you realise you've cut your fabric off that you've just sewn on. So do pay attention. Right, let's get my 1/4 inch on there. With a 1/4 inch, do watch your fingers, because obviously there's not a lot to grab hold of.
I was just
and then I'm going to
thinking
trim
that.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that. And now I guess you're on a kind of repeat. So
Yes.
fold, stitch, and then, iron it.
That's it.
Iron it back
So-
out.
And then what you'll do when you have complete, I'm not going to sit here and fold it all because it will take for ages, but can you see this comes in here like that? Then what we do is we trim it back to, find another ruler. We'll trim it back to the 1/4 inch. And you'll follow that curve. So that's a 1/4 inch too. Okay, I'll just trim that off the bottom. I'm always very generous on these. I do tend to leave quite a seam allowance until I cut, but then you cut it all round. Okay, now let me find, there's another bit somewhere. Hang on. Where's my other bit of... Chat amongst yourselves where I work out.
Do you want to? We'll just pop back together, and I'll pass it over to Sasha. She can finish off her purse, and
Yes.
you can get a little bit further on that, and you can find your other bit. That's here's one I've done earlier,
Yes, I want
and then
to
we'll just come back to you to finish that off. There's no rules here, you see.
Ah, right. I'll keep going with this then.
Okay, no problem. I will. Well, you can still keep cracking on. Sasha, are you ready to jump onto your purse?
Yeah, I am. I'll jump onto the purse, and then I've just got to grab some warm water, which will take me 2 seconds because I've got a loo in here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to get the water out of the loo. I mean, I'll get the water out of the sink.
Anything's possible with you, my love.
Who wrote the description about me, Ms. Smith?
ChatGPT.
Oh, I was thinking, oh, that's so lovely. Haley definitely didn't write that about me.
Robots. Robots did it.
So,
I didn't. I could have edited it, but I thought, no, I do read them before I put them up. But yeah,
I was.
I love a bit of ChatGPT. I think it's great for just giving you like a starting point on stuff. It's brilliant.
Oh, I just thought it was amazing.
There you go.
I might just have to use that in everything I do now. So I have top stitched around, okay, and I have closed up the hole. Next thing that you're going to do, I don't know whether you're going to be able to see. I can't do this whole tech thing. We'll just move the camera down. That's fine. So,
That works too. It's
So
by
we have
any
got-
means necessary.
so the first thing that you're going to do is you will see that one side is wider than the other, and
Oh,
you are going
no.
to fold that.
Now look what you've done. Rosemary
What have I-
says, hate to think if it's warm water in the loo. Trust you. Always when Sasha's on. Just down the tone goes.
Down the toilet. So I fold my largest flap over first. Okay. Thank you, Hayley. And then my narrower. I don't know what else to call them other than flaps. I have a wide flap and a narrow flap. And then
And
a
the
front
bottom
facing
flap.
flap. And then you put your narrower one over the top, and then you're going to take your front facing flap and fold it over to the front. Okay. And it looks like this. Now you can see where you are. And all you are going to do is just stitch down these sides. Obviously you'll want your walking foot on, but you're going to stitch down the sides and it will all stay in place. And when you've got that, the reason the front flap obviously goes up last is because that is going to make sure that there's no hole in the bottom. Okay. And then you have got your flap like so. So it is a really, really beautiful little purse, really easy, really nice as a gift. But the first thing that I'm going to do is I am just going to stitch down either
I've looked you up some alternative words for flap.
All right, okay.
So flap is a noun, as in winged or extended part of an object. So the options
would be good, couldn't it?
Yes, it says matches are accessory, adjunct, appendage, apron, cover, drop, fold.
I can't use appendage.
No. A fold or a drop. Your left hand drop, your right hand drop. A lapel, a lobe, a pendant, a queue, a skirt, a strip, a tab, a tag. Tab might work.
Jane has commented. I'm known. So she's known for her bacon, her cheese and bacon flaps.
Oh no.
I'm going to use wings.
Okay.
I quite like wings. I'm going to go with wings, I think. Do wings sound better?
Hey,
don't
I
like
think
appendage. No, I can't do appendage.
We're down the rabbit hole now. Hang on, what was the rest of the words? Drop, fold, lapel, lobe, pendant, skirt, queue, strip, tab. Tab would work.
Oh yeah, tab would work.
What was that big bang?
Oh, it's only me phone. It's fine.
It's made your tea wobble, whatever it was.
Did it?
Tab, tag, tail, or tippet.
A tippet?
A tippet.
Oh, I don't like that one.
Oh, apparently a tippet's like a cape.
Oh, it wouldn't have sounded the same, would it, if somebody had said, "Oh, here comes Superman with his tippet." It don't really sound right, does it?
I maybe think tabs is where you go with that. The left hand tab and the right hand tab and the bottom tab. But if you like your flaps,
look
crack
at
on.
Superman with his tippet. No, it doesn't work. Doesn't work. When did a child come home and say, "Oh, I need a tippet for school"? Goodness
Probably
me!
in like the 18th century.
So yeah. So instead of flaps, we're going to go with wings. Sorry, I'm just moving you up a bit. So here we go. So this is your little beautiful wallet. You've got a pocket, and a pocket. And this is your credit card size one. So again, it's just really great for, or you can turn it into a key one or whatever you want. So yeah, these panels caused Hayley so much stress. Like a huge amount of stress in her life. You're too nice, Hayley. You're too nice, because I'm sure that you thought about me many times. But yeah, if it was, a lot of this is down to Hayley, to be quite honest. An awful lot of life in general. No, you have done more than. So what I am going to do is I have a very special bucket. Now, everybody that loves, we have a lot of
special bucket. Sasha and her special
Quite a small bucket. Now, everybody that loves soak and loves flatter, and there's an awful lot of you out there, always go on about the soak bowl. Unfortunately, the soak bowl is not available in the UK. It is only available in Canada and the States. But obviously, I'm quite special, so that's why I have one. In fact, I have three. I have a small, a medium, and a large bucket.
I invite the comments now for Sasha's Quite Special. Thank you.
And the reason for these buckets, which actually we are going to do the best, we're looking into bringing them into the UK. There's a problem with what they are made of. That, like anything in the UK, it seems to be an absolute nightmare trying to get stuff in. So yeah, the reason for the bowl. Okay, I don't want to know. What is the comment?
Oh yeah, the comments coming in. It's mainly about flaps and holes and tabs, flaps, holes, and tabs. And then we've got one from Natalie saying, "What have I found here?" Yeah,
that's just about.
I don't know. It's a thing. We have a lovely time.
You keep
to ourselves.
asking me back. I can't help it. You keep asking me back. Things just fall out, and it's too late to.
Laura Harris wants a soak bucket.
I know everybody wants a soak bowl.
Lynn says, "Is that a horse feed bucket?"
It looks like one, but it would be for a Shetland pony, I think, because it's very small.
It's quite shallow, isn't it?
Yeah. So the idea for these, and they have measurements in, they have soak icons on, and everything else. Anyway. Let's talk soak for a moment. So the idea with these, soak is a no rinse wash, okay? And it is basically made with skincare formulation. Now this size bottle does over 75 washes. You do not need much of this. And what you will notice with a lot of we're sort of programmed with things like shampoos, laundry detergents, that sort of thing, to have bubbles. Okay, and bubbles are not necessarily good. Bubbles are put into things to make us believe that they are cleaning your product better. Now, the reason I first discovered soak many years ago is I was in a posh lingerie shop and they gave me a sample. And soak is basically for lingerie, lace, all of those beautiful items, because we all know that our bras and our good undies, we should all be hand washing them. And because it's no rinse, it also isn't causing wear and tear on them. It's also amazing for your knitwear and your embroideries, those sort of things, because, you know, cashmere, pardon me, that was my coffee then. I do apologise, I just burped. Pardon me. What's the wool beginning with M?
Merino.
So all of those really expensive, that sort of stuff. And the idea is with the buckets is that you can pop it in and it's not too deep because you don't need much water. It's no rinse. You're not making a big mess. You're not having to put it in the sink, and you're not having to wring. You're not having to rinse these things out. So it comes in a few flavours. They are fragrant. So Catherine's just asked, are they perfumed? They're fragrance. They are completely all natural. There is a scentless one as well. But it's sort of, people have then taken it because it's for all the items we love, basically, in our life, that we spend a lot of time making. So quilts, embroideries, knitwear, all of those beautiful things that we want to wash but need to be washed delicately. Now, they are very concentrated, okay, so you do not need much. But because of the whole lingerie thing, people have now sort of jumped on it from gyms and swimwear brands and things like that, because swimwear you shouldn't put in the washing machine. You shouldn't put your gym wear in the washing machine because the detergents in that actually break down the fibres. And fabric conditioner is really bad as well. Some fabric conditioners are really bad for your clothes. They sort of put a coating on things. So yes, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to fill this up. 2 seconds. Hayley, could you possibly go onto my website and just go to the soak and just show it's under soak is under tools, I think. And I'll just pop some water in here.
Yes, I can. Bear with. There we go. So this is Sasha's website, and where did she say it was? Oh, on tools. There we go. There it is. Soak and flatter. So that's your flatter options there, and as she said, there are multiple different fragrances available within there. Let's have a look, see what we've got. Pineapple, lacy, celebration, fig, yuzu. What's yuzu? And scentless. It's a fruit. Oh, there you go. Okay, well, let me just pop you back into onto a full screen, and then you can yuzu away.
So there is Pineapple Grove, yuzu, scentless, lacy, which is my favourite.
I do apologise. I did show them the flatter, not the soak there.
Oh, that's okay. And celebration. So these bottles of soak, as I said, are 75 plus washes. Now, when obviously I go away in hotels and things, I always take the sachets for my swimming costumes and those sort of bits, and my knickers and tights and leggings, because it's just easy. You know, this will do me, one sachet will probably do me 4 days, because you really don't need much. So when it comes to things like your quilts, especially heirloom quilts, that sort of thing, you do not want to be putting them in the washing machine. You know it. I've got one, as you know, the Red Cross quilt that I'm working on, the Canadian Red Cross quilt, and it is damaged. It needs a lot of love, but obviously I don't want to be wringing it in and out. I don't want to be doing that, and so that's where the formula is very, very special. So with anything, when I say I've got 3 drops in here, that is all I need. And you will see, I'm trying not to, obviously, there is, you don't get bubbles, you don't get foam. This is the amount of bubbles that you want, you know, just a few. And the fragrance is just stunning. It's beautiful, and it does sort of, it sort of stays on the fabric. So all you're going to do is you're going to take your quilt, like when I wash the heirloom quilt, I'm going to put it in the bath, so I will need a little bit more. Okay, now this could be my bra, it could be my undies, which I didn't bring my bra because I thought Hayley would absolutely. This could be your crochet, it could be knitwear.
That would be your last time if you start with that nonsense again. It was bad enough. I mean, we're trying to get onto these live platforms, not be taken off and put onto OnlyFans.
So the other reason I love the bowls is for knitwear, and I've got a Granny Squares crochet blanket that my nan made me about 20 odd years ago, and so I only tend to take it out sort of at Christmas time because there's a couple of threads on it, and I'm trying to be really careful with it, but it does need that wash again. So I will pop it in here, and it is literally, it cleans, it freshens, it does everything. Now, I would pop it in here, I would let it soak maybe 5-10 minutes, give it a swill around. If it's a jumper, no wringing. Bras, no wringing. You don't want to be doing that. All you want to do is like a scrunch to get that water out, and that is it. So I would then go from my soak, I would do a gentle soak, gentle scrunch, like so. We're not doing wringing, okay? And that is it. You don't need to be re-rinsing it. You don't need to be doing anything like that. and then you would hang it on your airer or however you choose to dry these things. If you feel that it needs a bit more of a scrunch, a little bit more of a scrunch, but you don't want to be doing ringing and things like that. And that is it. It doesn't have to rinse. Oh, Sarah. Oh, the smell. It is amazing.
Yes, I have a question because perfect for quilts. But did you say gym kit?
Yeah, so gym kit and swimwear.
Yeah, that I'm concerned about the bacteria.
No, because it's skin care quality cleaning. So it's the same with your underwear, anything that's close to you. It's the same with your swimwear. It will clean and it gets rid of all of those nasties, because it's the same with your underwear. You know, you don't want bacteria on your knackers.
Yeah, that's why
your knickers. That's what I meant to say. You don't want bacteria on your knickers next to your knackers.
No, but that's why you wash them at 30 degrees, because the heat of the 30 degrees kills the bacteria.
Actually, 30 degrees doesn't actually kill it.
It's got to be 40.
You now have to put more chemicals if you're washing them at 30
Exactly.
degrees.
That's why you don't want to do it. So when I go, I go with a cold.
If it hasn't got those chemicals in it, I'm just trying, because I've got some here. I've just never used it.
It's skin care formulation. So it's the same as when you're cleaning your skin, getting rid of the sweat, getting rid of the bugs, getting rid of all of that off of your skin.
It'll have something antibacterial in it, I would imagine.
It must do. It must have something.
Eucalyptus. It has eucalyptus. It has tea tree in there as well. So again, it gets rid of all those nasties. And the problem with swimwear and gym wear is it has all this lycra and elasticity in it. And what happens with when I go in the sea, so I meet with a group once a week and we go cold water swimming. Okay, I'm lucky, literally 2 seconds from my house. And what I noticed was in the first 4 months, I went through 3 swimming costumes because it was just like snapping. It was awful. And so now when I come out of the sea and go into the shower, I've got my little sachet and I just clean with my little sachet, and then I just go, and it completely changes them. So yeah, you don't have to worry about that. It cleans, it freshens, it deodorizes. It just makes everything really, really nice. And if you go on to Soak, it will tell you the ingredients of everything. It's completely organic, completely natural as well. But yeah, no problem. Thank you for asking, Sarah.
I was just sitting here wondering, because my gym kit can walk away on its own sometimes. And I'd like to bleach it.
Well, yeah, it's a bit like socks, isn't it? Knitted socks. We all know that knitted socks keep in bacteria and smell. And unfortunately, it's very difficult. You don't want to keep putting those through the washing machine. So again, things like this, it's just absolutely perfect.
So I do have some questions that I need to catch up with people.
Yeah.
Gail, there were people asking about A4 freezer paper, and is that something that you have on your website?
Yes, I do.
Excellent. Do you know which bit of your website it is if somebody's looking to try and find it?
It's in the sewing bits and bobs. If they just put A4, if they just put freezer
it's got
paper.
A search at the top. I'm just having a look at the website now. It's got a search at the top. So
yeah, if you put freezer paper or A4 in there, it'll come up.
Right.
Also, Gail, can you print on it?
Yes. Yeah, that's the reason that I put it on there, because you can buy freezer paper on the roll, but when you cut the sheet, if you cut A4 pieces off that roll, it sometimes jams in the freezer, in the printer, but this just goes through like butter. Fine.
Right. So, but is that the same? Because obviously we were having a conversation earlier about heat on printers, and does it need to be like an inkjet printer, or does it need inkjet? Perfect.
Yeah, only an inkjet.
Excellent. Jeanette's come back about the shape flex. It wasn't super flex, it was shape flex on a bag pattern. So she was wondering, is it some kind of stiffener? Yes, I would imagine it is, and I would imagine you'll be able to substitute it for any kind of reasonably strong interfacing, or something like a bosal possibly as well. Let me just, I've got some on here, some written down here. Sarah, did you get your bit finished?
Yes, I'm ready.
Show and tell.
Yes. So that's it, stitched and trimmed. And you see, because we're using freezer paper instead of like just printer paper, this comes off because we've folded it. So the sticky side, it's stuck to our fabric. That's then free to use again. Probably about 4 times, maybe 5, and then it starts to get a bit fluffy. And let me just bring that into here. So now we've got 4 bits done, because I did this yesterday on my live, the small one. So we've got that row there. Then there's the next curve, and then we've got the top one there, and then there is another on this pattern. There is another one to make like the wedge around your pie.
So you're making it into effectively 4 squares and then
Yes.
sewing your 4 squares together.
Yeah, so what we've got is those 4 squares. I can't get far enough back for you to see all of it, but so what we've got there is a quarter of this, and a quarter of your mariner. So, and then you need to sew them together. I love a bit of curved piecing because it always is a bit fiddly, because that looks great like that, but that's not how we sew it together. We sew it together like that, which is obviously the wrong way. So what we're going to do, we're going to ignore the fact that I nicked that with my rotary cutter just before we came to look at this on the camera. So we're going to ignore that. We're going to pretend that's not there. But what we are going to do is I'm going to fold it into 4 bits and give that a quick press, because that's going to give me some creases. And this is all in the pattern. And then we'll do the same here. This spike is the middle, but then we want to get side spikes as well in here. You can pinch them, you could put a pin in it, I just whack an iron on it and it does the same thing. Right, so now I've got a crease here. That crease doesn't want to show. I don't know if you can see it there, but we've got creases. Now we take that, we line up the middle. So we put the seam allowance just here so they match up, and stick a pin in it. And then we come to the side pieces. This is also one of the template bits, so you know it's all in the pattern. Where's my pin cushion? There we go. So I put one in there, and I also pin from the side too, just to keep that one, to keep it straight. Right. Then we're going to go to the middle quarter, this crease here, and match up with that crease there and do the same thing. So we're just trying to make sure that only this little bit here is what we're worried about. Pin those. And you see now, as we slide that apart, that is going to curve round. You see, like that. And then we'll go in here. This one will curve round as well. I tend to lick my fingers and roll, because it gives a little bit of grip, and then just roll the fabrics back until they line up. Obviously, if you're giving it to somebody else and you've been licking it, wash it first, pop it in your soak. All right. And then we'll do this one. Right, so we will sew this down and then we will do the same to the next one. I'm not going to do all of it, but it now looks like this. It's a little bit frilly. And I tend to stitch from the back. Some people like to go from the straight edge. I like to do it here because I want to keep an eye on those points, so that I'm not sewing through and cutting off the off my points. So up to the sewing machine. Right, take it slow, and we're only worrying about that little bit that's in front of the machine here. So we'll just keep it, take the pins out as we go around the curve. Just make sure just this bit here is flat, because that's where you'll get any tucks. Right. Just be patient. There we go. Come back to and press to the plain fabric. All right, if you press it the other way, you end up with too much bulk underneath, and it will just make it a nightmare when you come to. So that should lie flat rather than under here, because that gets really, really thick. And there we go. And we do exactly the same with the next bit. We ignore the fact that I accidentally cut it with my rotary cutter. So, and then we will put that piece onto there.
You'll catch that in the seam allowance. It'll be
fine.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. That'd be a very generous seam allowance. Right. And then we come to, we'll make 4 of them. And it makes the centre.
Perfect. Well, I shall go and grab everyone else. I think Gail has a teeny tiny little demo that she wants to squeeze in before the end, and then we'll have a little bit of a chat. I'll let you know who's on next week, and then we can all go and have, well, a big glass of wine after this one. Big glass of wine. Right, so do you know what? I wasn't keeping an eye on my questions there. Oh man, hang on a second. Multitasking. Oh, it's gone off. Hang on. There we go. Right, what we got? Oh, there's like 200 odd comments. Apparently, this is to do with Gail and your paper, your freezer paper, A4 freezer paper. Beverly says, yes, try to do it on a laser printer and it disappears. Husband not happy.
Oh no.
Shape flex is like waistband interfacing, so it must be quite thin but quite stiff. Yeah, we've got somebody else coming in with some shape flex information as well. So if Jeanette, you are still looking for that, have a look on the comments on Facebook. There's loads of people trying to help you out with that on there. Secret Sewing Club's put up the listing for your glitter felt, but actually what we needed was the listing for your paper, which we'll get to in a minute. I
have a question for Gail.
Okay.
Do you want it now?
Yeah, go on then.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Gail, your glitter felt, can I use that on the embroidery machine?
Ooh.
The problem with it being on an embroidery machine, the only issue with it, I would say, is if it was a really, really dense pattern, you might find that all the holes you punch into it would break the felt, and also with it being on the embroidery, you don't really want to be covering the glitter with all that beautiful stitching. So I think one would counteract the other, if you know what I mean. You know,
so like if I wanted to do I'm doing like a Santa Claus applique at the moment on my embroidery machine, but could I add it to like as a belt buckle or as a bit of trim on his hat or something.
Oh,
or,
yeah, definitely.
but not a heavy embroidery.
No, and I think as well, you might have an issue when you're hooping it up, because it fit in bending it within the hoop, so you'd have to use one of those sticky things, the sticky stuff that you can stick for machine embroidery. Really technical term there. But yeah, I don't think I think it would be a good addition, but I don't think it necessarily would be the best product.
Maybe for just like embroidery applique, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
just
I think so.
We've had Sarah Jane on.
Never say never, just try.
Yeah, exactly. Got to try it once, haven't you? Sarah Jane on about the wine comment. Why use a glass, stick a straw in the bottle? And then no sooner than she'd said that, Sarah's straight there with a bottle going.
Only water though.
Next time. Well, we did put a little poll up. How many weeks ago? Probably last week, actually. Maybe the week before. About if we were going to do an extra one on a Thursday, what time would people want it? And we gave them like a morning slot, same time as this, and a 5 till 8 slot. And everybody said 5 till 8. So that one, I feel there's no rules for that one.
No.
I would say that's definitely after the wine shed. So we going for it. You up for that, Sasha? Someone drinking? Sasha's in. Gail?
Of course. I'm sat down. I can drink if I'm sitting down. It's when I'm drinking and I've got to go for a walk. That's when a problem happens.
I've got more questions, actually. What's the best machine to cut out letters in felt for applique? Whoa, you've got options with that. You've got things like your silhouettes and your brother scan and cuts, which will kind of do them one at a time with a knife, or
just scissors
and cut. Though it makes, if the scan and cut when you're cutting felt on the mat, it makes a lot of mess.
Yeah.
Really, you have to put an interface. You have to put
you have to put something to stabilize the felt before you can cut the felt.
The scissors, if you got the dies.
Yeah, Aki quilt, or even just a die cutting machine. Most of the thin dies will go through at least a felt. I mean, you're not going to get multiple layers, but I do agree with Sasha. Scissors. Yeah,
scissors.
And also what we were saying last week, Hayley, just make sure you print your letters out back to front. There's what I meant to say, what I was trying to think of last week when we were talking about applique, was I've collected some books over the years. I don't know if anyone else has seen them, called Art to Heart books.
Right.
And they're American. So the words can be a little bit American-fied, but they've got all of the words, all of letters in there, back to front, the correct way for you to trace them off, which is brilliant. So you don't even have to think about doing letters back to front. They're all in there. And so what I've done is, over the years where I've collected, I've probably got about, 6 or 8, I've actually just about got an alphabet now. So I can go through the books and find my letters. It has a lot of happy holidays and autumnal ones and things. But yeah, I'm sure they're called Art to Art or Art to Heart.
Okay. Well, they'll probably, even if they're not in print at the minute, I'm sure there'll be people with second-hand ones on things like Amazon
definitely.
And things. Hang on. Somebody must be watching us about half an hour behind, because somebody's gone venison goulash and sprout mash.
Oh, okay.
Ready for when they're finished. So I think what they're saying is it's time to get off. But I am gonna go back to Gail, because she does have one more little demo that we want to squeeze in. Then we'll just quickly jump back together. I'll let you know who's on next week. And we can all go and get wine and dinner and all sorts. So, Gail, are you ready?
Yeah.
It's like gladiators.
I'm just going to go... That's a blast from the past. Oh, no, actually it's back on now, isn't it?
It is back on, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, right. I'm just going to go to overhead, I think.
It's all yours.
So because time is of the essence, I'm gonna say 2 things. So for the person who's asked about the letters and cutting them out, you can see I print mine onto freezer paper, and look how nice the letters come out. So I don't have any issue with printing them on freezer paper, ironing them onto the back of my felt, and then cutting them out. So I find that the easiest way. I also find it quite therapeutic sitting down, cutting out all lovely little letters. So that's the way that I do it. Yes, you can use scan and cut and that, but like Sarah and that was saying, it does mess up your mats. Not so bad for me because it's my mum's scan and cut, and it messes up her mats, not mine. So what I was going to demo, but I know time is of the essence, was this little Christmas tree, which is made up of squares of fabric. So shall I just say, Hayley, that I demoed this on Friday night on my Facebook page, and if anybody wants to make it, then go across to my Facebook page, and it will show you how easy it is to make this. I think it's a good stash buster. You know, you only need 2 different fabrics, or you could be made out of loads of them, and they're just folded squares that are then all placed together. But I did a full demo for it on my Facebook page on Friday night, so I know time is of the essence. But,
perfect. Well, I mean, it is and it isn't, because I mean, there's nobody kind of coming on after us, so we can just sit here all night if we wish. But I think I'd like to lie down now.
Yeah, so I'll just go back to the
perfect. You've got
I mean, it's a fun little Christmas tree. It can be made bigger or smaller. I did the demo on my Facebook page, so if you just hop on to there, you can see me do it.
I must say though, Gail, for how terrified you were the first time round doing this and switching your cameras yourself, I think you've cracked it.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, fake it till you make it, isn't it? That's what they say.
It's not that bad though. Now you know what you're doing. It's not that bad.
I think but I've got Sarah from White Gecko to thank for that. So
is she there? Is she gonna
she is, but did you know what? Right, because I am the kiss of death with tech. She's trying to set up OBS on my laptop, and for some reason it will not load.
Oh no!
That's all over.
Turn it off. Turn it on again.
Yeah, so
that's how we fixed it this morning, isn't it, Sarah? Well, this afternoon. Yeah. Turn it off, turn it on again.
Rebooting, as they say, which is basically turn it on and off several times.
Always a winner. So thank you everybody for joining in this afternoon. I mean, I can't talk because I'm nowhere near demos yet. I've got to wait for the bigger computer to come, so then I can get all my gubbins. Hey, there she is.
This is my tech team, and also supplier of chocolate.
What? I need one of them.
And I'll just share with you, her husband has just made the best Yorkshire puddings I've seen in a long time in the other room.
Oh, so is that where you're going now?
Oh, yes.
Yorkshire puddings, right? In that case, we've got to go. So next week we've got Rowan Dean, we've got Quilting Antics, and we've got Old Maid New, who is it's Maria from Old Maid New. So hopefully you will join us again next week to see all of those lovely people. So thank you.